Seminar at 2 p.m. or Monday, March 17th, 4 Point Sheraton, St. Louis, Fairview Heights, Fairview Heights. Weight loss, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar, 8 p.m.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at noon.
Brian Kilmeade here, and I'll be there on Saturday, March 22nd. Jot that down, at the Factory in Chesterfield in this engaging motivational journey through America's past. Tickets available at 971talk.com/events.
Sponsored by Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group. This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. Mark Reardon.
The heart of America is not government. The center of America is not Washington, D.C. The center of America is the neighborhoods where 330 million Americans are raising their kids and trying to put food on the table and trying to love their neighbors.
Mark Reardon.
There's nothing worse than a reckless jackass who thinks he's smarter than everybody else.
I am the smartest man alive!
The Mark Reardon Show is on now.
All right, look, as we get going here this afternoon, I want to make this very clear. If President Trump would do what he's doing right now every day, my job would be so much easier because he's taking questions, and we always get very curious. Sue and Fred and I are ready to go here on this Thursday, but don't you think we should kind of find out what's going on?
Yeah.
Will Scharf was standing right next to him. He was signing some executive orders. Now, one of the orders that he just signed was to back off on the Canadian and Mexican tariffs for a month, reducing some of those. We talked to our friend, the farmer in Tarkio the other day, Blake Hurst. He was talking about potash, right? And they get that from Canada. So some of that has been changed already because of the reaction. But here's, I don't know what he's talking about. Here's kind of sample this real quick.
Eliminated. How would you see sort of what department, what agency would handle student loans and the other types of federal grants?
That would be brought into either Treasury or Small Business Administration or Commerce. And we've actually had that discussion today. I don't think the education should be handling the loans. That's not their business. I think it'll be brought into small business maybe. Kelly really liked it and really would like to do it. So the loans would be brought into a group where they really do that. And I think it should be good. That is, by the way, the most complicated thing in moving. But it's very simple if you do that.
And the same for like federal grants.
Rejected your plan to move out more than 2 million people out of Gaza. What's your reaction to that and to Egypt's plan and to this meeting that happened?
Out of Gaza?
Yeah.
I think that Gaza's a mess, and I think that Gaza could be good. I think it's got to be run properly. But right now, Gaza is an absolute mess, and it has been for many, many years and decades. Yeah, Peter, did you have one more?
I did, yeah. They have these 2 Starliner astronauts stuck in space for 8 months. Have you spoken to them?
They left them alone. Biden left them up there.
And what do you know about that?
I know everything about it. I said, we have 2 astronauts that are stuck in space. I have asked Elon, I said, do me a favor, can you get him out? He said, yes, he is preparing to go up, I think, in 2 weeks.
What do you know about how this went down? Because he's saying that the Biden White House was offered some kind of SpaceX rocket to go get these guys, and they said no.
That's what I heard. I can't tell you that, but that's what I heard. But Biden was embarrassed by what happened, and he said, leave them up there. I would have said, if you're embarrassed, you got to get them out. Elon is right now preparing a ship to go up and get them.
I'm sure that they will see this in space. What is your message to us?
We love you, and we're coming up to get you, and you shouldn't have been up there so long. The most incompetent president in our history has allowed that to happen to you. But this president won't let it happen. We're going to get them out. We're coming up to get you. I've authorized Elon. I said, can you get them out? Because, you know, they've been left up there. I hope they like each other. But maybe they'll love each other. I don't know.
All right, so this is live right now in the Oval Office. Will Scharf was standing right there with some executive orders. And, yeah, you know, we're going to find this audio, but I was watching. So I always, and Fred, I don't know if you saw this, but I watch the legacy media. Even when I watch Fox sometimes, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to get, right? Because they have Democrat guests on. In fact, there's been some interesting comments by even Joe Manchin today. But Ethan's going to find this audio. They went to a clip this morning with the astronauts, and the astronaut dude basically said, yeah, Biden left us up here and Trump's going to come get us. I'm like, wait, because that was one of those things that I thought, well, that can't be true, right? It's not something, I mean, I knew the astronauts were up there, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, it can't be true that he just basically didn't want to go up there, but I think it is true, and I think the astronauts know that it's true at this point.
And they were only supposed to be up there for a brief amount of time. They've just been stuck up there this entire time. That is outrageous.
That is outrageous. So we'll see what else comes of that event. We have Brian Kilmeade coming up to react to a lot of the news today, but it has been another one of those days on Capitol Hill, and we'll get all kinds of reaction as we move forward throughout the afternoon. Let me kind of set the table here. First of all, I want to mention we got our first fish fry tomorrow, so that is very exciting. Come out and see us at Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church. It's in Soulard, 1910 Serbian Drive. Jane will be with us. We got the whole show out there. The roundtable starts at 3 with Jane, State Rep Steve Butts. That might be his district. Is that his district, you know?
I don't think he goes that far.
Yeah, maybe not, because the districts are cut up in different ways. But close. Jean Evans will be on the roundtable tomorrow. She's actually going to join us tonight for some stuff as well. Go ahead, Sue. I'm sorry.
Fred is going to be out of town for 2. Are you going to miss 2, Fred?
I think
so if you want to see Fred.
actually took time to look, and I'm only going to miss 1.
Oh, good.
On the 21st.
All right.
Wait,
so
really?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
I don't know, I'm happy about it.
All right. Well, I'm happy about it, too. Actually, I was going to save this for 4, but let's do something now just because I was very worried about Fred. First of all, Fred is very stressed right now, and I'm extremely worried about you.
I am
telling you.
We can tell
I know
that
you are. And
stressed.
I'm trying, like, there's times where, look, I am a pain in the ass to deal with, but I'm trying to, like, relieve the stress of Fred because I feel like, and a lot of this is because he's traveling and he's got a lot of responsibilities that are on Camo X. And I personally, here's my advice for that side, okay? Don't worry about Camo X.
Totally
Who cares about that? Worry about this show, Fred. You don't have to worry about anything else. We want you to enjoy your vacation. But Sue and I were also very concerned about your gear for the coming trip to Japan. So you got to open that box up there.
Sue just handed me
There's a box.
nicely
Now, this is from Mark.
folded box.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Hey,
let's
look
just
at this.
Let's call it a group. It's a group gift.
Thank you.
How about
It's a group
that?
gift.
Oh, my gosh, it's the good one, Fred.
It's a talent purchased
Yes!
North Face
Oh, my
Rain jacket.
Gosh,
That's
ring the bell.
amazing.
Now, wait.
Thank you so much.
I bought, here's what I did because I wasn't sure. I bought 2 sizes.
Yeah.
So what size? That's a large.
We had a
I have
discussion about
XL
this.
as well because I wasn't sure.
You know, I've tried on several, and I'm running
Try that
between
on.
sizes.
Well,
so
try it
we'll
on.
see.
I have the other one too. Because
Put that one
Okay.
on, Fred.
Great.
I went
will.
with green though.
I think that's a
liked
nice
green.
choice.
I thought
Great
that was a
color.
Fred color for sure.
You know, I was headed out to buy one tonight, so good timing.
Perfect
Nice
timing.
work.
Well, I swung by the Alpine Shop in Kirkwood. I love the Alpine Shop. And I was telling you this story. This is actually a true story. And maybe I said this the other day. We were talking about the rain jacket. Fred was stressed. Marie wants him to get a rain jacket for the trip to Japan. And I was making the case that a good one is probably worth the money, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
Fred
it
made the
is.
crack. Well, that's a talent budget, not a producer budget. But I was in literally the Alpine Shop in Columbia, Missouri, and I think they still may have a location there. And it was a rainy football Saturday, and we're in there, and I need a poncho. And really, all I'm looking for is a poncho. And my wife's like, well, buy this really nice Patagonia. And it was $90. And I'm like, why do I need a rain jacket that's that expensive? But I bought it, and I think I still have it to this day. So is that
I think it looks good. We can try
It's
the
Sue
other one.
approved.
It's because I don't want it to be too baggy.
Wait, is it not a full zip? Is it just
No, it's full zip.
Okay, because it looked like you had put it on. You can put it on, like you can unzip it all the way.
Yeah, but he was in
I'm
the
so
interest.
used to quarter
I think
zip
you were doing
things
the
now.
quarter
Oh, there
zip
it goes.
thing.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It'll come
Yeah.
all the
Oh,
way.
okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to
I
say the large is what you want to
yeah,
go with. That's the size.
Okay, great.
That's good. It
And
looks
then I'll
good.
just watch my weight.
I just want to side down.
Well, if you want to try the other one on, you're fine. But I think that one looks good, doesn't it, Sue?
Yeah, you don't want it to be too baggy because when it's windy and wet, you want to be nice and cozy.
That's great.
See,
Thank
I
you.
saved, I
Thank you
saved
so
you a
much.
trip for tonight.
This
really,
is great.
Mark, that really looks good.
I like the
Thanks.
green.
Fred, congrats.
Yeah.
It's a good color for him. Oh, I'm so impressed.
Did you actually pick this out
I
yourself?
did.
Yeah.
Hey, dude,
Hey,
I'm
Reardon
like, you
is
got to
a-
realize that I'm the guy that buys my daughter the majority of clothes. I've purchased a lot of clothes for my wife. I do have this, it's funny. I met someone the other night. Man, where the hell were we? And I was meeting some listeners, and
it a
I was
Hellbig
at
thing,
no, I
or-
remember this. This was at Padel and Pickle in Olivet, and I was playing with my friend Jeff Drew the other day, and there was a dude that was there who had met me before, and he said, "What was the? I got to think about the context here."
Wait, I'm going to take a picture of Fred while you ponder. I'll put it on the X.
Now,
and while you're just thinking, I guess it's my job to make sure that we don't go to dead air. So,
no, here's my deal right now. I'm just telling. I'm trying to remember what this guy said to me the other day because he had met us before, and now my brain is completely cramping out. So I have no idea.
All right.
This
well,
has been
something
happening-
about style or something about ability to pick out
Thank
clothes.
God,
Thank
Ethan.
you,
I'm
Ethan.
telling you,
It's
man,
what I do, guys.
There's so many times where the brain just malfunctions. Yeah, this guy goes, "Oh," and I used to work at Nordstrom, and so. Sue, you probably can relate to this. When I did Channel 4 for, I don't know, maybe 15 years on Friday mornings at 9 o'clock. So I did movie reviews over there for Great Day St. Louis with Kent and Laura. And there was a period when they first started that show that I hosted it a little bit just as a fill-in host. And I was part of them. They paid me so well. It was unbelievable over the years, the amount. No, I never got paid a dime, but that's okay. I did it because I wanted to do it. But I would go, Fred, you might not even remember. I'd get off. I wouldn't want to necessarily after that go all the way back to my home. So Fridays would be my shopping day, Sue. And I would go to the Galleria and I'd go to Nordstrom. But I bring it up because if I had... This is the lesson I need to teach my children. I have one that's turning 25 tomorrow, and my little one's turning 10 on Saturday. If I had all the money that I spent just on Fridays at Nordstrom, you could take all the other days out of the week. If you just go to Fridays at Nordstrom between like 10 a.m. and 12:30 in the period of 2008 to 2020.
How much?
I'm just saying, if I had that, I would be retired right now.
I understand.
Right?
Wow,
I would have even bought Fred the higher priced Patagonia North Face jacket if I had all that money from when I bought clothes. So I really do have some regrets. But then again, I was buying stuff to be on television, so I guess I was justifying it that way.
Boy, speaking of Nordstrom, my son Noah sent me a quarter zip sweater that he bought in D.C. at a Nordstrom rack. Is that like
no? That's like
an
outlet.
It's like an outlet, but it's still good.
But it's really nice.
Yeah.
But it's still expensive.
No, well, look, okay. The truth of the story is that I was just telling is I would always go because Nordstrom Rack is actually just down from Nordstrom in Brentwood. It's on the other side of 6440. So you'd always kind of start with Nordstrom Rack and you'd see if you can get deals there, and then you'd go back into
You're
Nordstrom.
hardcore if you know that.
Sue, I'm telling you,
props.
here's the problem. You know who's got this bug in my family?
Oh no, Alexa.
Yeah. She's a shopper.
Oh,
and
boy.
not in a real I'm worried. She's getting that from me. You can't have my wife is not a shopper, right? You can't have two shoppers.
No, you can't.
No, you can't have one shopper.
Yeah, and you're still in control, Dad.
You
should be at this point.
You would think you should come over to my house and assess that between
mean,
the
as
two
long
ladies
as
in the
that-
household.
Listen, I don't know all the facts here, but what I do know is that, you still own that blues hat that she got you for Christmas, even though you've never worn it.
I've never wore it either. Hey, you guys are going to see her tomorrow, and if you come out to the fish fry, because it is her birthday on Saturday, Alexa Reardon, and she's going to be hanging with friends. Becky's going to swing them by at the fish fry tomorrow, and we may even sing a little happy birthday. So it's Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church in Soulard. We got the whole gang out there tomorrow. Ethan, you'll be there tomorrow or not?
No, I will be in studio, but I will be there for the one that Fred is not.
We do not have the whole gang out there tomorrow, as I was saying. I
feel loved.
I'm bummed about that, but I also recognize that the host needs someone here that knows what the hell they're doing, which is an important thing.
Which is more than us sometimes.
Well, certainly.
No doubt about it. So I got a couple of things that I wanted to do here at the start. We have Kilmeade coming up. The Democrats today were embarrassing themselves even more. I don't know how many people saw this, but Fred, this was all like right around 9 o'clock this morning when they were doing the censure for Al Green, right? Not the singer, but the 77-year-old congressman from
Texas.
Houston who went up there the other night during the speech and started waving his cane and stuff like that. And then he's escorted, and, it's a big deal. And that's what everyone wants to talk about on the next day. They don't want to talk about the Republicans or Trump and all the things that, 80% of the country agrees with. They want to talk about this guy. So today they decided, now this is like one of those formal things where they slap him on the wrist.
The resolution is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The House will come to order. The House will come to order. Shh. Will Representative Green present himself to the well? By its adoption of House Resolution 189, the House has resolved that Representative Al Green be censured, that Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure.
Oh, this is just Johnson reading all this, and the Democrats are kind of gathering around.
Reading of this resolution by the Speaker.
And they start to sing, Sue.
I just can't.
They're singing. They're singing "We Shall Overcome."
What are you overcoming?
Okay, that's my question. What in God's name are you overcoming right now? Are you overcoming the fact that 80% of the country does not agree with you on the issue of trans women playing against trans men? I get so confused. I don't even know how to refer to these people anymore. I really don't. Now, there's a couple of things on that front. I thought this was interesting, and I just came across this online. So I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel. I don't watch the late night shows. Interestingly enough, I used to. I used to really enjoy watching the monologues and seeing some of the interactions, but I can't take it anymore. And here's, the big blubbering idiot Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know if he cried last night, but he usually does cry. But let me just offer a little bit of what he talked about, and then we'll recap and we'll set the record straight, because here's Jimmy.
$8 million for making mice transgender. This is real.
No, it's not.
But it is.
But except for
but
it is.
Exactly it is. But listen how, condescending and indignant Jimmy Kimmel is. And then I'll tell you that it's real.
You hear the president of the United States say we're spending $8 million to do sex change operations on mice. You assume, well, I'm sure he's exaggerating, but there must be something there. Turns out there's not. It's not real. The government spent money on transgenic mice, which are genetically modified mice they use in lab tests to study disease. It has nothing to do with being transgender other than the trans part of the word. You think they know this and just ignore it, or are they so dumb they don't know how to Google? Or maybe they think we're so dumb we don't know how to Google. I don't know.
Okay.
They're turning Mickeys into Minnies and Minnies into Mickeys.
All right, so I took the challenge from Mr. Kimmel. I thought, well, let's just Google that. And you know what the first thing is that came up? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know that for certain that our tax dollars went for this, but I'm pretty sure that they did. But outside of that, you just tell me what this is about. So here is from the University of Michigan. This took no time at all to discover. Mouse model of gender-affirming testosterone treatment and fertility finds decrease in egg yield, but not quality. Evidence can help inform fertility care for transgender and gender-diverse people who wish to become parents. And the story says this from the University of Michigan. Although transgender and gender-diverse young adults demonstrate a high interest in parenting, less than 20% of transgender and non-binary individuals are parents. I wonder why that is. Transgender and gender-diverse people who wish to become parents face barriers. Blah, 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 blah. So they go into this, and they talk about a little bit of the science here. I'm going to kind of, gloss over this. But they say this. Look, to remedy all this, and they mention one of the doctors here, Dr. Moravec, led a University of Michigan team with Ariella Shinkanov and Vasantha, I can't pronounce this name even if I tried, they're all PhDs, to investigate how gender-affirming testosterone treatment affected IVF outcomes using a mouse model. So who's telling the truth here? This is pretty... Researchers divided genetically identical female mice into 4 treatment groups: control implant, testosterone implant, control implant washout, testosterone implant washout. So, of course, they do these things on mice and rats all the time, right? I'm sure there's a lab full of dead mice at WashU right now. But the fact of the matter is the person who lied is Jimmy Kimmel, and goes on there. But people believe this. I was talking to a friend of mine today who was actually expressing a little frustration about their own spouse, because now I'm lucky because my wife has actually become more interested in Fox. I've indicated this, but this was someone whose wife gets information from the Today Show and NPR. And there's your warning sign right there, because you're not going to get. And for those people out there, I'm guessing there's not a lot of people out there that are on the hard left listening to this show. But if you have friends, for those of us on the right, don't tell them when you talk about media bias. It's really easy, actually. They don't have to believe me. They don't have to believe you. Send them, just Google, here's something Jimmy Kimmel likes to talk about, Googling things. Google Uri Berliner, NPR, and read what he had to say a year ago about the bias at NPR and how it's disgusting and it's not journalism. So there's lots of people in this country that have TDS that are gaslit by the legacy media. And the legacy media includes guys like Jimmy Kimmel, because he lies all the time as well, and then he blubbers like a baby. All right, we're off and running here. We got Kilmeade coming up next.
Coming back to you.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Two serious delays right now. One is on westbound 44. There is an accident past 141 that has left us with a jam in a parking lot jam back through 270. And that's jammed up southbound 141 as those drivers head down toward 44. So that's a mess. The other mess is on southbound 55. They've got traffic down to one lane south of Rivas Barracks in that work zone. And there is a parking lot jam behind it. And this thing goes back and it's past Broadway. So if you are southbound on 55, just awful right now. Other than that, we've got the usual volume on 70 and it looks okay out of downtown. Accident reported near Spady on westbound 6440, causing a delay there. This report is brought to you by Gloria Lou. Sell your home with trust, confidence, and written guarantees. Gloria Lou Guaranteed Realty is St. Louis's real estate expert. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Thank you, Sue. We have Mr. Kilmeade coming up here in just a couple of minutes. I want to talk about Weldon Spring, Missouri. We're going to be out there close to Weldon Spring when we're in Cottleville, but there's a brand new senior living community. It's making a big difference out there. It's New Perspective Senior Living. I've been talking about it for like 6 months now. They opened the doors last summer. They started really getting people in the modern apartments, big, beautiful, very spacious, in September, and they still have openings right now. And this place is amazing. Modern, big 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, chef-crafted meals, lots of activities for seniors who want to stay alive and connected. And everything is new, fresh, inviting, designed with your comfort in mind. And you can be among the first to experience it. So maybe take a tour. Head on out there. You might want to call first, 636-229-1311. The website is outstanding. It's npseniorliving.com and is in Nancy P. as in Paul, seniorliving.com. New Perspective. It's a brand new place here in the St. Louis area in Weldon Spring to live life on purpose.
Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day? If you get busy or miss your favorite show, don't worry. With Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app, you can stream your favorite shows on demand. You know your day is better with us. Get the news that matters to you from the local voices you trust. No matter what you're up to, give it a try. To get started, download the free Odyssey app and search for your station. That's AUDACY.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. If you need to sell your home to buy a new one, it's never been more important to have an experienced negotiator that you can trust. You need my friends Mark and Neil Gelman on your side. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Guys, it's time to take charge of your health with my friends at Victory Men's Health. Mark Cox here. I already love what they do at Victory. They do hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, even vitamin deficiencies. Now they're offering specialty cardiovascular testing and even early detection cancer screening. Visit them at one of their 4 great locations, now in Sunset Hills, Town and Country, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to victorymenshealth.com.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Hey, it's Mark Cox. Join me and the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee for the Lincoln Trump Dinner Friday, March 21st at Old Hickory Golf Club. Get your tickets now and learn about sponsorship opportunities at 971talk.com/events.
A little controversy for your afternoon. The Mark Reardon Show.
You know, outside of the roundtable tomorrow, we will have all our regular Friday stuff, including Paul Hall on some movie and streaming entertainment recommendations. We'll have Cusimano on sports. We're going to try to get Frank to come by one of these in person as well. And then we hung out with our friend Alex Rich from Y98 yesterday. He's going to maybe even bring his guitar, Sue, tomorrow afternoon. Andrew Bailey, the AG of Missouri. I love this. I saw Andrew a couple of weeks ago. I did not know about this, but he's asked the Department of Justice to investigate whether White House staff exploited Joe Biden's cognitive decline in its final days. This is very interesting. And it's a curious strategy. We'll find out a little bit more about it when he joins us in the 4 o'clock hour. Michele Tafoya will be here with us this afternoon talking about not only some of the things related to the speech the other night, but the women's sports issue, which is interesting just because all of the Democrats voted against that. There's been a lot of discussion about that the last couple of days. And then Gene Evans, who's a political consultant for Go Consulting, former executive director of the state GOP and state rep, is going to join us on some education stuff in just a little bit in the 5 o'clock hour, plus an audio cut of the day. So I mentioned, if I can get my mouse to work here properly, not the type of mouse that was doing the gender affirming care, this type here that we're using. The Democrats, when Al Green was censured, they surrounded him and they broke into song, into We Shall Overcome. It was actually very, very baffling. Brian Kilmeade is with us this afternoon to talk about that and more. Brian, how are you?
Just such an embarrassment. Such an embarrassment. This clown, this total idiot, who is probably, they say, one of the dumbest people in Washington, stands up screaming. I'm not sure if anyone put him up to it or not because no one seemed surprised. No one even looked at him on the left because I was in the building. I was in the upper chamber right by the center camera, and I'm watching him scream. I don't know what he's saying, but they got to stop the speech. And then he gets censured, of course. 10 to 12 votes from Democrats. Some just sat it out. And then while he's being censured, they're singing, We Shall Overcome. Overcome what?
I know. That's what I said.
Home.
What are they going to overcome? That was my big mystery this morning. I'm very confused by it. But, yeah, of course he did it on purpose, and he's proud that he did it. It's interesting because you have, on the one hand, some people who are Democrats out there saying, look, you're making fools out of yourself. What are you doing? And then others that are doubling down saying, well, they should have all left the chamber the other night.
Yeah, good. Always. Just show how clueless you are. Remember, all Washington thought Trump was going to lose. They thought he was never going to be even allowed back in the city again. And he's not going to win the battleground state. He's not going to win the primary. We're going to sue him. We're going to try to jail him. All that stuff. Not Trump. I never said Trump's playing the perfect game, but he was so perfect. He got angrier and more confrontational every time they came at him. And then think about what they must be thinking as he walks in for year 5 after 4 years. And they must be, we're not going to escort him in with children. Democrats should be escorting him in. Next thing they're going to do, we're going to interrupt. We're going to hold up signs. We're going to hold up eraser boards. We're not going to cheer for kids who overcome cancer or widows who lose their husbands as a member of the police force like Stephanie Diller. We're not going to cheer a fifth-generation warfighter who just got into West Point thanks to the signature of Donald Trump, who just lost his dad. We're not going to sing Fogel when Fogel, the teacher, gets out of a Russian prison. We're not going to cheer him that he's now free. We're just going to sit there, and we're going to have 17 boycott and 14 walk out. Congratulations. You tell me where the momentum is.
It's really quite stunning. And I was confused on one hand because John Fetterman, I've seen him kind of call out his party, and he's been critical about their behavior. But he's also the guy, every member of the Senate, all the Democrats would not vote for the protecting women's sports. That's just baffling to me. I don't get why Fetterman in and of himself wouldn't cross over on that one.
Yeah, I don't know what happened either. It doesn't make any sense because I didn't even hear any opposition. I was talking to people say, is there something about that bill that, that they put in the debt ceiling or something?
Right.
How they slip things in? And everyone goes, no. I go, so I asked the speaker, I said, what did you put in it? Or like when you left the House for the Senate, is there anything in there? He goes, no, it was flat out voting for not to allow trans men in women's sports. That is all.
And now you have this is so fascinating, Brian. I talked about it here in the monologue. Gavin Newsom.
Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. It is an issue of fairness. So it's deeply unfair. We revere sports. And so the issue of fairness is completely legit.
Wow. You think he's running for president or something?
Absolutely. And he's going to try to go to the so he is going to just be with he's going to have interview conservatives, and he asked questions in this, and I'm going to put it in One Nation on Sunday. One of the questions is, what do you think we should do? Ask Charlie Kirk. What do you think we should do with to win back people? What are we doing wrong?
Yeah. I mean, I'm very shocked by him getting this into it, right as the Trump administration is starting. That does indicate that there's desperation there to run for president. But I can't believe that he flipped on the trans issue that quickly with a conservative podcaster.
Maybe. Or maybe he didn't even think it through. He doesn't realize exactly what he said. He's going to walk back when he gets in front of a woke crowd again. So we'll see how much publicity this gets. I mean, we're definitely going to talk about it. But the guy has a city that's really burned to the ground. It's amazing to me he chooses this moment to launch a podcast, and he's sitting there in a casual shirt just shooting the breeze. It's not even like the sense of urgency. I got to go back to help the people. No, what are you doing? What are you doing? How are you? Good to see you. So how's it going? Good. Really? That's what you're doing? That's how hard you're working to make sure people can build their houses again?
Yeah, he's slick. To your point, I wouldn't be surprised if he walks that back. What did you think about the Sanctuary City Mayor's hearing yesterday? Because obviously, and I played a little of this in the open too. Tom Homan was on with Laura last night, and he was just on fire, reacting to this Boston mayor and some of this other nonsense. Jim Jordan beat the mayor of Denver up pretty good yesterday. Again, these big town mayors, including Brandon Johnson in Chicago, Brian, they just don't get it.
I could, and all they did is pay a lot of money to get out of this and not be the Ivy League presidents of this year. And when I think that people found out, they are so embarrassed by their own policies. They know it's not popular, but they're going to continue to implement them or not implement any cooperation with ICE. Here's some video of a prisoner getting out of jail and running because he knows you're there, and took 12 guys, and one guy got assaulted before they got this Venezuelan gangbanger. Well, what would have happened if you just handed them over, let them cuff them in prison? Well, I don't know. You know exactly what.
Of
so
course.
They were just looking to filibuster.
It was ridiculous. It really is. And, I just wonder, one of the things that's happening, and we go back to what happened on Tuesday night. Look, the pundits yesterday morning told me how crazy Trump was and all this, and the speech was too long and all that stuff. The Democrats said the same thing. But what's interesting is the actual people who watched the damn speech seemed to like it pretty much, didn't they, Brian?
And I think it's because he was very familiar with the copy. He moved right through, and he had a lot of exhibits. And he even told me, I saw the president yesterday, and he said, even Britt Hume thought I had a great speech. And that's pretty true, but Britt also said it was partisan. But he said it was a really good speech. It was Trump at his top. He's at the top of his game, which, remember the conversation we were having a year ago? As Trump, they tried to make it seem like Trump was missing a step, that it wasn't just Biden.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good luck with that. By the way, the one thing that I am uncomfortable with, I had a great conversation with my friend Joe Wormington. He's a columnist for the Toronto Sun. This is a guy, Brian, that is very pro-Trump. And he keeps Pierre Trudeau in check up there in Canada. But he was very sad. He's actually sad about the tariffs and troubled by them. He's worried about impacts in Canada. He doesn't understand what President Trump is doing. Now, there's been a little bit of a pause on some of this right now. Is this just Trump trying to get the best negotiation? Because there are economic impacts here for Canadians and Americans that might not be too comfortable in the coming months.
I know. I don't get it. We have different stories. 1 minute is for fentanyl. The next minute is for trade balance. The next minute is for manufacturing. Next minute, it's rescinded. So I have no idea what they're doing, but he's got a great economic team around him that doesn't have any problem defending it.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're right. They're defending it, but I don't know if they know where this is going to take them, and I don't really get what the point is at this point. I get what he's trying to do as far as campaign promises and make sure that things are equal, but with some of the numbers that he's talking about, it just doesn't seem like it's going to work out in his behalf. And maybe some of this is at play with Ukraine right now as well, because we see maybe some invigoration to some new discussions between officials.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you about the tariffs. I know the market hates them, but that shouldn't really steer. If you really believe it, go do it, but stick with it. If Mexico's done so much. Take the win. If it's really about fentanyl, I mean, they're handing over arrested cartel members who were jailed, giving them to us. They arrested about 400 cartel members over the weekend. New York Times wrote about it. The border's shown to a trickle. So if it's still coming across, let me know. But I know that China we should really go on China. That's where the precursors are.
One thing, you mentioned the border. One thing we've learned here in the last week in particular is this claim from the Democrats that, the bipartisan comprehensive bill that they wanted to pass that they claimed that Trump killed, that was the only way to control the border, Brian. Remember that? Couldn't do it. Except we just did it in the last 2 months.
Yeah, right away. And he said it wasn't a new policy. You just needed a new president. He's 100% right. And now you got another 1,000. I had Pete on television yesterday, Pete Hegseth, and the Defense Department sending another 1,000 down there. And I said, is that because you guys are going to start taking out cartel members like they're ISIS? And he said, nothing's off the table.
Yeah, well,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
Staging this for on southern border to take out, the Sinaloa cartel. Wow, that would be different. And maybe with a wink and a nod, Claudia Sheinbaum saying, do it because we want to get our country back.
Brian Kilmeade is back with us. In fact, he's coming to St. Louis 2 weeks from Saturday. We're getting real close here, Brian, to this event at the factory. There are a few tickets available. Also some VIP experiences, and you can get those at briankilmeade.com. Anything else you want to say about the show?
Yeah, I mean, Saturday night's going to be great. Every show is different. We're going to be streaming on Fox Nation, it looks like. We're going to weave in Mark Reardon. We know that for sure. We're going to have 6 or 7 different skits we bring in a live stage setting, history to life. And it's just going to be patriotic, inspirational, motivational. And people love it. Just put it this way. You will appreciate how hard we've worked on this for the last 3 years. Everyone in the audience is like, wow, how long did this take? It's like we went from me moving through some PowerPoints to now we have thorough skits, tapes, and we have stand-up comedian open up for 15 minutes. He's phenomenal. T-shirt guns. We got everything you need for a successful show.
T-shirt guns. You should have led with that. My goodness, everyone loves their T-shirts. What's coming up? You mentioned a little bit. What's coming up on the show Sunday night?
At the University of Austin in Texas, that Barry Weiss, Neil Ferguson, Joe Lonsdale experiment, where the kids learn the classics, to get everything paid for free, and they have all opinions are welcome. It is an elite college that's emerged. They finally have their first class. One did a feature with them. We also have the co-host quiz featuring Jimmy Fallon and the great Kennedy, and we're also going to let me see. Mike Lawler is going to lead us off to bring us through, and Senator Kennedy of Louisiana. So it's going to be a big show.
I love Senator Kennedy. You had me at Senator Kennedy, Brian. Have a great weekend, a great week. We'll talk next week.
Go get it, Mark.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We have a couple of big jams on the roads right now. One of those is southbound on 55. They've got traffic down to one lane in the construction zone south of Rivas Barracks. And the jam behind this is outrageous. It goes back, let's see, the last time it was close to Broadway. It's north of Broadway. It's really jammed. If you normally take southbound 55, it is a problem right now. Gravois looks fine. I know there's a lot of traffic lights if you want to try that. Or you could try Broadway but it's bad. The other problem is there's an accident just past, this is westbound 44, just past 141. I was going to say it's serious. The jam is serious, and we've got a backup that goes all the way back near Lindbergh. That one is blocking the right lane. Now, other than that, we've got just the usual volume. So westbound 6440 approaching Hampton through McCausland. There was an earlier accident reported past Spady, and that's caused a delay. Now we have an accident westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. Of course we do, whenever I say it's fine. So there's a jam behind that as well. This report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. 99 years. That's how long they've been repairing and replacing garage doors for savvy homeowners. For same-day garage door repair 24/7, call Overhead Door Company of St. Louis or schedule online overheaddoorstlewis.com. Overhead door, stlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk.
O'Reilly Veriscan is a free check engine light testing program that pulls from over 600 million vehicle scans confirmed by ASE certified technicians to provide a simple report and possible fixes. Available exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You know, I had a power outage at my home yesterday. Luckily, it did not last very long, but I want to talk about you getting a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter here in St. Louis. They're in Chesterfield. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. They have competitors that are... they're different. Let me explain that a little bit because their installations are permitted. They're code compliant. They use copper wire. That's significant because some folks out there, they try to cheap out. They use aluminum wire to save money or maybe scrap wire. That's not good for you. They're often at Generator Supercenter called for repairs or maintenance for generators that are installed illegally and dangerously. So don't put yourself in that situation. They don't sell portables. These are great standby generators from the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Generac home standby generators are awesome, and you can give yourself peace of mind by calling for a free estimate. You don't have to worry about whether the wind's going to affect the power lines or a tornado or ice in the winter. All those things are taken care of when you have this generator. Stop by the showroom in Chesterfield or call for a free estimate. Call Generator Supercenter right now, 314-499-2020, 499-2020, or Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Triton Exteriors. Hopefully you've heard me talk about Triton before, and you know that I'm good friends with their owner, Tim, that I love their commitment to customer service. Tim comes from the restaurant business, and so he is completely focused on your happiness. The answer is yes. What's the question? Also, we're not just your average contractor. We're your neighbor. We're proudly based in Shrewsbury. We deliver stunning exteriors with James Hardie Siding. So why James Hardie? Why is that a big deal? Well, it's the #1 brand for durability, curb appeal, and the best-in-class return on investment. As part of the James Hardie Alliance, we bring expert craftsmanship and a personal touch to every project. Your home deserves the best, and with Triton Exteriors and James Hardie, that's exactly what you're going to get. For roofing, siding, gutters, or fences, call 314-717-1159 or go to triton-stl.com, 314-717-1159 or triton-stl.com.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
It's strange for me because I grew up in a family where we had open discussions about politics. My grandfather was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. We went at it every Sunday in my household, but we all loved each other.
The Mark Cox Morning Show, weekdays from 5 to 9. You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
You know who is blowing up and getting a lot of attention here this week is our guy DJ Daniel. Remember him from the speech the other night? 13-year-old cancer survivor.
Yeah,
remember him? He was one of the great stories that was talked about during the speech by President Trump, and the Democrats couldn't even stand and clap for a cancer survivor. And worse than that, I mean, I played this yesterday, but this really, when you think about it, is despicable on the part of Nicole Wallace. I mean, despicable when she said this about this little kid. And I don't, you know, I heard some people talking about this last night. MSNBC is firing people. They should fire her for saying this.
I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer, but I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide.
Who does that?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, who does that? About a brain cancer survivor who's 13 years old. This is what these people are all about. It's unbelievable. You know, I was thinking about this, and I've shared some of the stories. I even heard Mark, on the promo, he's talking about how we just saw him. Mark was nice enough to pop in on us. He's going over to the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. But, you used to have politics or discussions with people that you would be able to get along with afterwards, but that seemingly is not the case anymore. But let me just say this, because as I chronicle these things, I've got a friend of 45 years that basically is not talking with me anymore. I've had someone else that's happened to professionally here, even in this building, and a couple instances like that as well. And I know other people that have had these same situations. But, there's one consistent aspect of that every single time. You know what that is? Very easy. It's never our side that doesn't want to talk to someone.
Oh,
it's not
right.
our side that is unfriending people. It's not our side. Look, we think you're kind of silly if you believe in all this nonsense, and if you think that boys should play against girls. We're revolted by that. But you know what? We can still have conversations with you. I've not unfriended one person over my entire career, but I've had a couple of people, and my favorite story is when I'm at the Haven in South St. Louis, and a dear friend of mine introduces me to a woman, and she comes over, and he says my name, and she literally turns around and walks away. It was one of the most rudest things I've ever seen in my life. But again, that's always, they're the compassionate ones.
Yeah.
The left,
yeah.
they're the caring ones. It's your side, Democrats. If you're not comfortable with that, if you're in the middle, if you're a sane Democrat, that's what's happening. It's your side. My wife has got and I think this is just rude. You tell me, Sue. My wife's got a text string with a bunch of girls from Milwaukee, and some of them are all over the country, one in D.C., one in Texas. And there's probably, I think, 8 or 9 girls on this text string. 3 of them are not crazy lefties. But the rest of them are, and they feel like it's okay on the text string, even though they know their friends are not on the same side of politics, to just be blasting Trump and doing all this stuff.
It's just not appropriate.
Hey, take it to the side. You want to do that with your little, communist cabal? Go for it. But why are you involving all other friends? Well, they do it on purpose, right?
Oh, yeah.
They want you to feel
think
uncomfortable.
They're right. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's unbelievable. But let me go back. I got to go back to DJ Daniel here, because this kid is breaking out. So I guess Steve Bannon has some sort of show, and there's a co-host named Natalie Winters that was interviewing DJ Daniel, and DJ Daniel is not very happy that people are being mean to President Trump.
Last thing, because we know you got to bounce. What would your one piece of advice for the Secret Service be?
Please stop being mean to President Trump, because if I see you being mean to him, I'm coming after you.
I love that. I think you need to become the director of the Secret Service. DJ, it is such an honor to have met you.
Hold up, I got one more thing to say.
He has one more thing to say. I won't interrupt you.
If you're a Democrat and you're being mean to President Trump, I'm on your bumper.
Yeah. Do you know what that means?
Watching you?
I had to look it up. It's a little bit more complicated
Oh,
than that.
is it?
According, Sue, to the Urban Dictionary, the phrase on your bumper describes someone aggressively pursuing someone for either confrontation or debts owed. So DJ Daniel is on your bumper. Then there's this. I like this one, too. This kid, he's going to be a star this week. Already is.
Yeah, you think your friends are going to be jealous? Pretty much. And I'm pretty sure my girlfriend going to be jealous. Cause she ain't going to be, I say, you can't, I'm going to be like you going to have to hit the road jacks, because I'm a Secret Service now. I'm not, and if you touch me, you going to juvenile straight out. And I ain't got to ask your parents for nothing. I'm sending you straight to jail.
You know, DJ, when you get older, you'll learn that women have an interesting way of dealing with those situations. A lesson for another time, young man. It was good talking to you. Thank you.
DJ's getting pretty aggressive there. He's sending his classmates to juvie. I don't know if the girlfriend wants to go to juvie, but that's quite something. I believe he was just having a little fun there.
I hope so.
And he's really enjoying the moment. Now, let me just do one more thing here before we wrap up the hour, because remember at the beginning of the monologue, we were talking about the astronauts that are stranded up there?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm watching this on Fox this morning, and this is being billed as something where Joe Biden kind of left them up there. And I thought, you know what? That's just politics, right? That could not have been the case. And then the astronaut gets, asked a question.
My question relates to Elon Musk has said that he made the offer to bring you guys back earlier and that it was denied. My first question is that true? And if so, what would that have looked like? Was he offering to make another flight, push seats on another flight? Could you give us some background there?
I can only say that Mr. Musk, what he says is absolutely factual. We have no information on that, though, whatsoever. What was offered, what was not offered, who it was offered to, how that process went. That's information that we simply don't have. So I believe him. I don't know all those details, and I don't think any of us really can give you the answer that you would be hoping for.
Well, but the answer that we were kind of looking for there is, that's what happened.
Exactly
the offer
what
was made,
happened.
and why didn't we get a chance to do that? Because of politics? Is that what we're hearing there?
Yes, that's what Musk said.
How about giving that story a little coverage, right? That seems rather important. They're stuck there for 9 months. We're coming back. Sue's News in the 4 o'clock hour.
Follow Mark on Twitter at Mark Reardon KFTK and Instagram at Mark Talk. You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
All right, we have two major jams at this hour. One of them is on westbound 44. There are a couple of accidents. Westbound 44 past 141, one in the right lane and one past that, mostly on the right shoulder. So, of course, traffic is jammed behind that. Now, they had traffic down to one lane, southbound 55, south of Rivas Barracks. Well, it looks like they've reopened it, and thank goodness, because southbound 55 was a parking lot jam, and it's back past Broadway, this jam. It's taking a minute to unwind because it's so long. Now we have an accident westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge, and that's created a jam. If you are northbound on 55, it's a slow go headed for the bridge. Eastbound 6440 is jammed, headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. 70 westbound is okay, but we have some volume eastbound 270, headed for the Chain of Rocks Bridge. By the way, this parking lot on westbound 44 has also caused a jam on southbound 141. So if you're traveling in that area, that's what's happening. This report brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living. New Perspective Weldon Spring is redefining senior living with modern apartments, delicious meals, activities, entertainment, and even a state-of-the-art AI fall detection system. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour day. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, we have Sue's News in the next hour here. Also, the Attorney General of Missouri, Andrew Bailey, is going to join us. The MAC is just coming off a couple of great events. Last night, they had the Irish whiskey tasting downtown. That is always very popular. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about the Meet the Charities night because one of the goals for me, and one of the reasons I got involved in the Missouri Athletic Club, is not only to play racquetball and get my butt kicked and do all the other fun stuff that they have, including some really cool Easter events, but we help out some of the children's charities every year. And this year, it's Books for STL Kids, Butterfly Kisses Alliance, and Kid Smarts STL. You can always find out more about what happens and how MAC members can help those groups throughout the community. Philosophically, I've said it before, government can't do all this, right? They can't solve all these problems. It depends on very generous people in St. Louis, MAC members, for example, to meet some of the goals. So that's something to always consider if you're a member, and you can find out more at mac-stl.org for the Missouri Athletic Club. Hey, it's Mark Reardon from my friends at Zerorez, and I want you to beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zerorez. If you missed out on earlier specials, this is the time to get your home freshly cleaned, the carpets, the floors, maybe even the upholstery. Zerorez removes winter's lingering grime, preparing your home for hopefully brighter days ahead. And spring, let's face it, is a time for renewal. So let Zerorez help you refresh your home with clean carpets, fresh floors, and improved air quality. For that, you want to do the ductwork. And here's the offer for the month of March. 3-room Zerorez-ified from St. Louis's #1 carpet cleaner, starting at $119. Also, take $75 off your air duct cleaning package. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy air. So book right now at 314-474-2020 or go to ZerorezSTL.com and say you want the 97.1 FM Talk special. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zerorez. Book today at ZerorezSTL.com.
When's the last time you gave your home's exterior a little love? Hi, it's Kim, and if your siding is cracking, it's fading, or just doesn't stand up to our St. Louis weather, it's time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design because they're experts in James Hardy siding, which is this durable, low-maintenance option, and it looks beautiful. Plus, you have customizable colors and textures, and so you can give your home a completely new look while protecting it for decades. Don't wait until the small problems turn into big ones. Visit lakesiderd.com to schedule your free consultation.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Brian Kilmeade here, and I'll be there on Saturday, March 22nd. Jot that down, at the Factory in Chesterfield, in this engaging motivational journey through America's past. Tickets available at 971talk.com/events.
Sponsored by Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group. KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
The ultimatum stands. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. President Trump's message to Hamas to release the remaining hostages, or they're done. The president says he issued that warning after meeting yesterday with 9 former hostages.
And I can't believe how badly treated they were, really badly treated. Stories that you wouldn't even believe. Some of it was documented. Some of it was so bad you couldn't really, I don't think you can put it on.
The president says he is sending Israel what it needs to, as he put it, finish the job. A Hamas commander says a military escalation could mean more hostages die. The president's special Mideast envoy, Steve Witkoff, says he and Secretary of State Rubio will meet with a delegation from Ukraine next week in Saudi Arabia.
The idea is to get down a framework for a peace agreement and an initial ceasefire as well.
Ukraine's President Zelensky says he will travel to Riyadh on Monday. President Trump temporarily pausing some of the tariffs he imposed this week.
Companies importing goods from Canada and Mexico will get a 1-month reprieve from tariffs imposed earlier this week by President Trump.
During this interim period between now and April 2nd, this makes it much more favorable for our American car manufacturers.
President Trump says his tariff policy will generate revenue for the U.S. and shift manufacturing back to the country.
Fox's Jared Halpern. The president says there'll be no change in his reciprocal tariff policy set to take effect next month. Texas House Democrat Al Green has been censured by the House of Representatives for disrupting the president's speech to Congress on Tuesday night. 10 Democrats joined Republicans in voting for the censure. Speaker Johnson telling Fox it was a sad day.
It was a deliberate action. It needed to be met with swift punishment. That's the tradition of this place to maintain decorum.
Prior to the vote, Congressman Green said he'd do it again. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
More and more clouds take over as our temperatures drop through the 40s this evening. 38 for the low, maybe a sprinkle towards morning. Friday, a spotty early morning shower, otherwise clearing skies. The sun returns. And boy, what a warm-up. 68 and windy Friday afternoon. Friday night, a couple of rain showers, maybe even a couple of sloppy wet snowflakes until windy 36. Saturday, sunny and cool 53. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm Chad Robison with Your Money Now. Telehealth firms Teladoc and LifeMD said today they've signed an agreement with Gift Health, the pharmacy partner of Eli Lilly's direct-to-consumer site, Lilly Direct. The deal is to offer patients the weight loss drug Zepbound, which has previously only been offered in compounded versions when the drugs were in a shortage. The first sign of federal workers losing their jobs showed up last week in new applications for unemployment benefits. The government says new jobless claims fell by 21,000, but more than 1,600 federal workers filed during that period. The three major averages were slumping today on Wall Street as investors anticipate further information regarding tariffs. The Dow fell 427, the S&P 500 was off by 104, and the Nasdaq tumbled 483. U.S. crude oil futures for April sit above $66 a barrel. That's your money now.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's I-Z-E-R.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
Make this the year you upgrade your backyard with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mark Cox here. Mention my name. You're going to get 48 months interest-free financing on that great outdoor project. You will love working with my friends at Chesterfield Fence. They do free in-home estimates at no obligation, free project design in case you've got something in mind already. Maybe you need a new fence. They do wood and vinyl. Those vinyl fences, low maintenance, lifetime product. You can do aluminum, steel, or chain link fences as well. And when it comes to decks, nobody does it better. Beautiful natural cedar decks. They've got the vinyl decking as well, which is maintenance free and a beautiful array of colors. Plus, they do custom sunrooms, pergolas, screen rooms, even retaining walls and patio doors. So you could talk to my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. They are Better Business Bureau accredited with an A+ rating. Go online today at chesterfieldfence.com.
Bill Walmsley interviews Chad and Lisa.
This property, for you to have done what you've done, won the award, changed it around, done all the rehab, has got to be worth a lot more.
We purchased it for $8.275, and it's worth $19 million now. So.
Wait, whoa. That is incredible. I can see why you won an award, and that's great.
Lifestyles Unlimited. Over 33 years teaching the real estate retirement roadmap. Text the word radio to 88007 for a $297 membership. Save $443 off the regular price. Text radio to 88007.
Hey, here we are. We have a Protecting Your Retirement event to announce. I knew that this was kind of in the works. We do 5 of these a year with Thomas Helbig and his nephew, Bob Kershaw, Bob's wife, Tammy. They're kind of taking things over there. They'll be on the show, I think, next week talking about the event. So this is coming up on March 25th at 6:30 p.m. I got to check this. I think that's a Tuesday night. We typically do these on Tuesdays, but I think the last couple have been on Thursdays. Yeah, it's a Tuesday night. It would be just 2 weeks from this Tuesday, and if you go online to retirementkey.com, you can register. You'll see it right there on the front page. It says Protecting Your Retirement, St. Louis Hilton Frontenac, and it'll say register, and then you just put your name in and some information. These are free events. We just need to know that you're coming. It's a quick, easy in and out. We get rolling like at 6:30. I'll head over there after the show. Annie and Mark will be there as well, and then make sure when you fill that out, that form, and you say, yes, I'm coming to the event, they ask the question, how did you hear about the event? You say radio. That's what you say, is you say radio. That's the best answer. RetirementKey.com to find out more. For Thomas Helbig, the official financial planners of this show, the Retirement Advisory Group.
This is Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsley. When I tell people who get in a crash, call a lawyer, but I often hear, I'm not the suing type. Listen, there are all types of people. Personally, I'm not the getting screwed type. If you're not the getting screwed type, call my firm, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen to you. Call Kaufman Townsley. Real people. Real results. 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
Making your afternoon a little hotter. Mark Reardon on 97.1.
I don't know, maybe I'm playing a little French music in honor of Governor Trudeau up there in Canada, but I do like this song quite a bit. We have our first fish fry of fish fry season coming up tomorrow, Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church. You know, let's focus on what's really important here, because as fun as it is to do the show and to have people come and say hi, and everyone wants to meet Sue, and then people want to meet Sue, and then most people want to meet Sue.
No.
But there's also awesome food. Awesome food at these, right?
Yeah, and we looked up the menu. This has peel and eat shrimp, I believe.
I love that. That's
Yes.
a plus. It is interesting because as we tour around, and we're going to be in Cottleville on the 14th, Assumption Parish in South County on the 21st, Queen of All Saints on Christopher Drive in South County on the 28th, St. Mary Magdalene in Brentwood on the 4th, and Ott's Tavern in Millstadt, Illinois on the 11th of April. But what's fun is they all kind of put their stamp on these fish fries a little differently, uniquely.
Yeah.
You're going to get, remember, we've been to some different, we went to Eureka a couple years ago. That was very unique. So I love seeing the different menus.
And you know what fascinates me is the volunteers that are so dedicated.
Yeah, they
at
love
every
it.
site. They've been doing it for year after year, and it's like walking into an organized city.
No,
when
it
you go to do
is.
these.
That's true. And remember, I turned like I was 5. Remember when? Remember the one that some of these, the women, well, it doesn't have to be women, people, homemade desserts are part of it.
Yeah.
And I know that the table really enjoys that. Not me, the rest of you.
I think Cottleville was one of those.
Just reminded me.
Yeah.
I do know that we had a couple of those, but here's the thing. I don't believe that the crew has, asked me to do this or anything.
Oh,
along those
here we
lines.
go.
Oh, no.
But why wouldn't I
cookies.
make some cookies for our event, right?
You could.
That's true.
Maybe I'll have to go to work on some of these cookies tonight and bring some. Because
Why not?
I've been blabbing about them for a long time. You know what'll happen?
They'll say
No.
outside
What-
food.
no, yeah. So, some busybody from
Oh,
Tish's
yeah.
staff at the health department
Oh, yeah.
will hear, and then they'll show up and try to sanction us or something like that. Hey, I'm watching this video. I don't even know if we have the audio, but there's this video that went viral today of all these Dems where they're trying to act like they're fighting, and they say, choose your fighter. And there's several different members of Congress, including AOC. If you thought that the Democrats couldn't embarrass themselves any more than they did a couple of nights ago, well, you would be wrong, ladies and gentlemen. But here's the thing, and I put this up on the X, formerly Twitter, earlier. There's, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 of these lawmakers who are featured in this video. And I swear to God, the first time that I saw the video, I thought one of them was Wesley Bell. It's not Wesley Bell. It's a woman by the name of Representative Lauren Underwood. But you tell me, if you look at Lauren Underwood and her glasses and her hairstyle, that it doesn't look like our newest member of Congress, Wesley Bell. I apologize, Wesley, but it kind of did look like her. Wesley occasionally listens to this show. I don't want to alienate him. But, I got to call him like I see him.
I heard on Fox News Channel earlier today, they were talking about whose idea was this. And apparently what they were saying is that Hakeem Jeffries went to Chuck Schumer and said, we're losing the young people on social media. We got to do something about that. He said, okay, you handle it. So I think it might have been something Hakeem came up with.
Well, they're going to keep swinging the bat. They're going to keep trying. Hey, maybe you just make different decisions on the issues that 80 to 85% of the country agree upon, like trans women in sports. Okay, couple things before Sue's News that I think you'll find interesting. And why does this not happen to us? Fred, you're going to be on an international flight here pretty soon. Did you hear about the Southwest flight on Monday where the woman just took her clothes off?
Excuse me?
Yeah, this is at Houston at Hobby Airport where my son lives down there. And there's videos that are circulating. She was just butt naked on this airplane. She, I guess, shed her clothes, and she's walking up and down the aisle. Officers were called to the gate for a person in crisis, finding the woman who had ripped her clothes off and caused a disturbance. They took her into custody. They put her in a hospital for medical evaluation, and no one was injured on the flight. But I'm seeing the videos that I've seen haven't really been full frontal or anything like that, but you certainly see her walking up and down the aisle and kind of making a spectacle of herself.
That would be awful. Obviously, she's not well.
No,
yes.
She's not well. And then I think we can all agree on this story. I found this in the LA Times yesterday. I had not heard any discussion about this. It's always kind of annoyed me. And I thought we did something about this in Missouri. Let's say that you are an Olympic caliber athlete and you go to LA next year and you participate and you do very well and you're, playing for our country and you're very proud. What do you get? Well, if you get your medal, then you're sometimes taxed on your medal, right?
Jeez.
Which is, now I think that they may have fixed that.
I think so in Missouri.
But for the longest time, well, they might have even done it on the federal level. And if they haven't, they're going to do it with Trump. But I'm always like, wait a second, we should be giving more to these people. So listen to this. For many U.S. Olympic athletes, going for gold can also mean going broke as they shell out thousands of dollars for elite coaching and equipment. That's something that you have to keep in mind. There's a ton of money. I mean, these Olympic athletes have been at it since they're basically 3 or 4 years old. I mean, many of them have. You know, their parents have invested a lot of money. It is not by accident that they get to that level. But the LA Times story says, look, athletes have reported relying on food stamps, racking up credit card debt, resorting to crowdfunding. On Wednesday, yesterday, the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee announced a new financial assistance program for Team USA athletes, a $100,000 retirement benefit per each Olympic Games that they participate in.
That's great.
I guess they seek, this is what they said, they're going to address the financial challenges athletes face, which have led many to choose between leaving their sports to find full-time work or continuing to train. Now, I'm not sure exactly how it works. It says that they'll be eligible to receive $100,000 in retirement payments 20 years after the game. See, I like this, too, because it's not like you're giving cash out here and then you go spend it. That would probably be cool, too, but that's something that people do if they cash in their, medals and they sell them. But this also could add up over multiple Olympic Games, meaning that athletes who participate in 3 games, and we do have some of that, would receive $300,000 from the program. The benefits would be paid out over a 4-year period. So you got to wait 20 years, but then you're going to get them relatively quickly. It says that the benefits will not put an end to the financial struggles when they're training, but hopefully provide a safety net when they, retire. So I like that. You would think that would be a good use of the money for athletes.
Does name, image, and likeness apply to Olympic athletes?
That's a good question.
I think that's a nuanced question. It is, but I might give you the wrong answer, Fred, but here's what I would say. We no longer have a situation where Olympic athletes can't benefit from sponsorships. We know that that's been changed. There's certainly going to be Olympic athletes who are part of collegiate teams who are getting paid already. But I don't know what all the rules are on sponsorships, because you see commercials with athletes, and that used to be something you'd have to wait until the Olympics were over.
Right, the Wheaties box.
Mary Lou Retton on the Wheaties box in 1986 or whenever the hell that was, right? All right, you ready for Sue's News for a Thursday afternoon? Don't forget, we are 24 hours away from a live Sue's News in person tomorrow at our fish fry at Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
By the way, if you have not tuned in to see Fred in his new rain jacket that Mark got him, hashtag
sharp
talent money.
Yeah, I'm feeling really trendy right now.
Yeah, well, it looks good on you, Fred. You could watch on either the YouTubes or the
it's a North Face. It's kind of how would you describe the color?
It's
olive green.
Olive-ish
like
green, but it's very nice.
And thank you.
Well,
very much.
We felt like you deserved it for the trip. And it relieves a little stress with you and Marie,
too.
It does. Of course, now she has to determine the size, even though I've already...
Yeah, and what if she doesn't like the color?
Oh, I don't care about that.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay, good. On this day in history, 129 years ago, now this is 1896, Fred.
Okay.
A guy named Charles Brady King drove the first car on the streets of Detroit. That's how old it is since the first person bought a car and drove it on the street. Of course, the joke is when it broke down, people yelled, "Get a horse."
And here we are, how many years later?
129.
I know, I have short-term memory issues and long-term. But here we are, 129 years later, and we're talking about these self-driving cars. You just talked about this yesterday.
You're right. That's a really good point. All that far. In 129 years, we now drive ourselves. That's nuts. All right, 44 years ago, and I have some sound for this, Mark. In 1981, Walter Cronkite retired after 19 years as anchorman of CBS Evening News.
This is my last broadcast as the anchorman of the CBS Evening News. For me, it's a moment for which I long have planned, but which nevertheless comes with some sadness.
Yeah, it came with a lot of sadness because then Dan Rather took over.
Yeah,
so it was even more sad than we even knew at the time, right?
Exactly. But just hearing his voice is comforting to me.
Yeah, it is.
Is that true of you two?
It's another one of those situations that we talked about the anniversary, the 10,000th episode of The Price is Right. I have a lot of memories from my grandparents when I grew up because my grandparents helped raise me when I was little. And I spent a lot of time with my mom's mom and dad. And I remember watching the news with them.
Yes.
I watched Laugh-In with them. I watched the Carol Burnett Show, all these things from the 70s.
And hearing his voice not only sounds authoritative, but when I hear it, I just think whatever he says is true.
Yes.
I just believed him.
Yes. And he probably, well, he's obviously more accurate than what's happening today. He actually was neutral. And on this day in history, 25 years ago, this has music too, in the year 2000, Eric Clapton became the first musician inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 3 times. He's in there for the Yardbirds, which is this.
And then
He's
Cream.
in there for Cream.
Yep.
And then finally as a solo artist. I just thought that was impressive.
It is.
Yeah, I didn't know that one. Now, wait, did you say he's the only one for 3?
Yeah.
Yep, that's quite a distinction there.
Can't imagine anybody else getting there.
Right.
I mean, if you're Paul McCartney, you got 2, right? But what's your third? You can't. 3 is a
Wings?
lot. Well, that'd be 2.
Beatles and then solo
Beatles
artists?
and
Yeah,
well,
could
but
you ever
Wings
consider
was his
Wings?
solo.
I know. I don't know if you
okay.
could do a hybrid there.
Maybe.
We'd have to ask our friend Tim Summer,
That's
who, by the
true.
way, celebrated a birthday yesterday. So late birthday
Aw.
to Tim.
Thinking about Walter Cronkite retirement made me, making the list of on this day in history kind of just reinforces how the times have changed because NBC has announced that Tom Lamas,
I know,
of whom I've
Who?
never heard.
Right.
That's what I said yesterday. No one's ever heard of this guy. Somebody
No.
said he did some weekend stuff.
He apparently was working for ABC, and granted, St. Louis is not a strong ABC market, but who? Okay, whatever.
Well, it used to be such a big deal to
It
get that
did.
gig, right? Like even when Norah O'Donnell was appointed at CBS News and then Lester Holt. But my sense is there's some salary dumps going on. Lester
Yeah, I
Holt was a
agree.
lot of money. I don't think that they fired him, but he stepped aside. And in these situations, Tom Lamas is not making anywhere near the amount of money that any of these other people have made.
That's why we don't know who he is.
Right, exactly.
That leads me to the story about Disney, which owns ABC News, and it's laying off about 6% of its staff. The plan there is apparently to merge Nightline. They're going to merge Nightline 2020 and something called Impact Times Nightline. I don't even know what that is. Disney says it's trying to compete with other streaming services.
There are, just being blatantly honest about the media business, there are a lot of people that are going through some layoffs and some things like that. Our company had some issues today.
Yeah.
It's by the way, it's not just communication. Look, Southwest Airlines firing people. You have Starbucks. I'm, because I get a little geeky on the economic numbers. I'm very concerned about a recession because it's looking like the first quarter might be negative growth. Now, I'm not tagging Trump with that, but everyone else is going to.
Of course.
Right? So there's some warning signs out there.
Yeah, Bidenomics was sign number 1.
That's exactly. And sign number 2, 3,
Yes,
4, and 5
yes.
as well.
I'm embarrassed to say I didn't even know Nightline was still around.
Me
I
neither,
didn't
Fred.
either.
I didn't either.
Let's see, and that's part of the problem. All right, Hasbro has announced a new version of Monopoly called Monopoly App Banking. Ugh. Ethan, do the kids want Monopoly to be an app-based thing? Here's what they say. Well, hold on. I asked you a question. I'll let you continue.
I
Do you have an
guarantee, I can promise you this. My generation, my age of people are not the ones that are playing Monopoly on your phone. There's no way. There's no way.
Well, this is the version that makes the game more digital. It's still a board game, but the board game elements are mostly the same. They're going to do kid-friendly tweaks like Park Place and Boardwalk have been switched to a rocket launch pad and the moon. Hate it. And other new properties include a chocolate factory, a VR roller coaster, and a dinosaur park. Now, the main difference is there's no banker and no physical money. Instead, there's a mobile app that processes all the transactions.
Is there a jail?
That's a good question.
That's probably considered offensive, so I don't
Thank
know why
you,
there
that's a
would
good
be.
point.
Are we using crypto? Or
Well, Hasbro says the app is great for speeding up the game to make it more accessible for the kids.
Are Trump
The
watches
Ute.
involved by any chance? They're very valuable,
I
too.
don't know. A common complaint is that the new version can't be used to teach kids about math. Did you learn math from Monopoly?
Well, but in fairness, when
That's
you were
actually a
kid,
decent point.
You
but-
were, looking at your dollars and how much you had to buy property. So, yeah, I think maybe you did learn a little math then.
Yeah, and they're just making everything for people with no attention and no cash.
Crowd
But,
didn't like it. You heard
People
the crowd
agree.
react there.
that's just what it is. And finally, in Sue's news, or do you want me to do one more?
You go for it, Sue.
Really?
Well,
All right.
Who's coming up here?
Tell
No,
me
we got
who-
Andrew Bailey. We better wrap it up.
Okay, here we
Yeah,
go.
got
And
the AG.
finally, in Sue's news, this is a quick one. We have today's random fact. I did not know this. Motel 6 got its name because it originally charged $6 a night when it opened in 1962. That's what the 6 is in
Good old
Motel
days.
6. Nobody ever thought, boy, this will probably rise up to $100 someday. They just said 6. We're going with it. And that's it for Sue's News.
I had to look this up. I did not know this from memory, but remember the guy that would always do the ads for Motel 6?
Tom Bodett.
Tom
This is Tom
Bodett.
Bodett. Yeah, very
Yes.
good. You guys did it without cheating because I had to look it up. It wasn't coming to me. There you go. Hey, Attorney General Andrew Bailey, who's doing something very interesting with the Biden administration, what they did for the past few years. He'll explain coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we've got a real jam going on westbound 44. There were a couple of accidents just past 141, and they were both on the right side. But it has created a parking lot jam behind this. And this goes back into Kirkwood. I mean, it jams back to Big Bend. So if you are westbound on 44, that's the problem. And, of course, that's creating a parking lot jam on southbound 141. And extra volume westbound Manchester headed for 141. And that's put extra volume on Highway 30 as drivers use that as an alternate. Now, 55 southbound is still a mess. And it's just jammed south of Broadway all the way down. It looks like it's just south of Carondelet now. And I'm not sure why. It's road work. But for a while, it was even worse. I guess this is the improved version. If you're eastbound on 64, it's a slow go approaching Jefferson across the Poplar, and westbound lines up approaching Kings Highway out past McCausland. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Okay, do you ever wonder if you've saved enough money to retire? Because most of us have saved something, but do you have a plan? What now? And I'd just like to learn about everything before I make any kind of decision, especially like this. So you can go to a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101, and they will teach you everything. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from financial and tax architects, and they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You'll learn everything you need to know. How do I maximize Social Security? How can I reduce my taxes? What if something comes up in retirement? And it's free, but they ask that you bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. They have so much experience in this. You will learn a lot. There are just a few openings for classes this month and next, so just give them a call, 314-947-2012. That's how you register. Call 314-947-2012.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
97.1 and thousands of music options, plus millions of podcasts are all on the free Odyssey app. Download the app or tell your smart speaker to play 97.1 and it comes up automatically. 97.1 FM Talk.
You might remember a couple of weeks ago, I took a trip to Columbia and Jefferson City. I got to sit down with Governor Kehoe that morning, and the Attorney General of Missouri, Andrew Bailey, showed me around the Supreme Court building and his office. It was a lot of fun. It was a little dead there that day because all the other wimps from the House and state office holders were afraid of a little snow. There was like an inch of snow, but not Andrew Bailey. He showed up that day, and he's with us this afternoon. How are you, Andrew?
Hey, my friend, I'm reeling from a Mizzou basketball loss last night. Excited about the game on Saturday. Hopefully we can finish the season strong.
I'm heading up on Saturday. You going to be there?
You know, I'm going to be at home watching my kiddos, but we will have the game on. We'll be rooting for the black and gold.
So Mark Cox dropped by here earlier. He's a big Kentucky guy, and he's going to the game, but he's prepared for an ass whooping, I think, because you're right. Last night was not good. They've had 2 games on the road, and it hasn't been the same team we've seen. I'm hoping for a big rebound on Saturday, and I think we're going to get it.
I totally agree. Senior day at Mizzou Arena. Big Tigers win. You heard it here first. You'll see that on Saturday against Kentucky.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the tour a couple of weeks ago. And it's a little different, as you pointed out, because the other state office holders in Missouri, they're all in the Capitol, but you're across the street in the Supreme Court building. I can't remember. You told me why that was. There's a reason, right?
Yeah, the General Assembly passed a statute several decades ago that requires the Attorney General to be co-located with the Missouri Supreme Court. And so it's a great building. It was built with the proceeds from the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis, and I believe all the materials were sourced from here in the state of Missouri to construct a Supreme Court building, except the slate roof came from West Virginia, and it leaks. So we learned that lesson. But
that's pretty funny.
My office is here on the first floor of the Supreme Court building. We've got offices in St. Louis at the old post office. We're in downtown KC, Springfield, Cape Girardeau. So we're statewide, but I have to be co-located with the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I got you. All right, listen, yesterday I saw this, and I blasted it out on the X, formerly Twitter. You are asking the DOJ, the Department of Justice, to investigate whether staffers of President Biden took advantage of his cognitive decline to issue radical policies at the end of his term without his full understanding, which, by the way, kind of makes complete sense. But is there some legal room here to actually get something done? This is very clever, I will say. I don't know all the particulars, but explain.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, any legal document that a person signs, if that person doesn't have the mental acuity to know what they're signing, is not a valid legal document. And under Article 2 of the United States Constitution, all executive authority is vested in a President of the United States, not in unelected staffers that he had around him, spoon-feeding him these terrible ideas in the form of legal documents that he subsequently signed. And so who was running our government in the last quiet hours of the declining moments of the Biden administration? I mean, I think we need to know, we the people need to know, and I think we need to probe the legal validity or lack thereof of these executive orders and pardons that he signed.
Is this something that is only coming from Andrew Bailey and the Missouri AG, or is this something that's also being attempted with other attorneys general across the country?
Look, this was my letter to the Inspector General at the Department of Justice with my signature and the letterhead of the Missouri Attorney General's office. But I'm sure I'm not alone in raising these grave concerns, because think about the documented history here of Biden's mental decline. We knew that Special Counsel Robert Hur, in his report in February of 2024, said that Biden couldn't form the mental state, the intent to commit a criminal offense. Well, if he can't form the intent to commit a criminal offense by stealing documents, then how is he signing legal documents? We know it got worse in January of that same year when Speaker Mike Johnson talked about how President Biden in his interaction didn't even know what he was saying. We saw the Wall Street Journal report in 2024, June of 24, and most recently in February of this year, a prominent Democrat came forward and said the president didn't even know where he was, had no mental acuity whatsoever. And so this is a well-documented pattern that's been in the public domain. And so I'm certain that I'm not the only one that is concerned, but this letter is Missouri leading the way on this issue.
By the way, here's some proof for you. How about the new Alex Thompson? And it's hilarious that Jake Tapper has co-written this book. Look, they've written a book. And, you know, the guy that denied that there was any kind of cognitive decline, Jake Tapper, somehow gets his name attached to this. But they claim to have interviewed 200 people for this thing. I bet you get some information for that suit in there.
Absolutely. I mean, that's more evidence. And look, Mark, we see this all the time in probate court in the state of Missouri, where if you have an elderly relative that has a testamentary instrument like a will or a trust, where all of a sudden property was supposed to go one place and upon their demise it's going somewhere else, and all of a sudden people are coming forward and testing that in court, saying, now hold on a second. When did they sign the document, and were they of sound mind when they did so? This is the same thing. It's just it's on a constitutional level. because we're talking about Article 2 authority under the United States Constitution vested in a president. And if the president wasn't making decisions and wasn't the one drafting and understanding these documents, who was? Again, the people deserve to know.
So you're asking the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, to conduct a full investigation. Is this, do you expect that to happen? My guess would be, like, I haven't looked at the local paper, but my guess would be if the Post-Dispatch is going to cover this, they're going to say, oh, there goes Andrew Bailey again. He's trying something gimmicky, to just do this over politics. But what's the path moving forward?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the Inspector General and how he conducts his business, and he has regulations that govern which cases he can and can't open and what he's allowed to say about those cases. And so I anticipate that there are reviews going on before I pinned this letter. And, yeah, of course the Post-Dispatch is going to say that this is a gimmick because they want to help cover up Biden's cognitive decline and prop up what semblance of a legacy he may have left behind as he exited the Oval Office. But at the end of the day, these are substantive legal matters that are appropriately raised by a state attorney general.
And I don't know if it gets settled here, but here's what I do know, that the question that you just indicated that you're going after, who was running the country for 4 years, that's a pretty important question. And what we do know is that this was the biggest media cover-up of all time. I mean, and they still don't want to talk about it, besides the book that they're hawking. That's the only time you're going to hear about it. Hey, when we met a couple of weeks ago, I want you to kind of address the issue of Missouri and public safety here in St. Louis. We got a bill that looks like it might get to Governor Kehoe's desk relatively quickly here on local control of, well, this would be going back to state control and having a police commission here. But you were indicating when we were having a conversation that there's a great relationship between you and the governor when it comes to a lot of these issues moving forward, Andrew.
Absolutely. I stand with Governor Kehoe in promoting public safety as a number one policy position for the state of Missouri. Governor Kehoe said it better than I can. Missouri needs to be a better place to be a cop than a criminal. And so many of the policy positions he's pushing that I'm supportive of would accomplish exactly that. And look, it's not state control at the end of the day because anyone that serves on a board of police commissioners has to live in the city of St. Louis. So it's still local control, but what it does is it adds a Republican structure that removes the politics from policing and gives those police officers the air cover they need to go out and do their jobs without their budgets, without their personnel decisions, without legal representation being hung in the balance. I have clients as a law firm for the state of Missouri. Those clients include the Kansas City Police Department and the Missouri State Highway Patrol. Those are some of my favorite clients, and we have technical expertise in how we defend those police officers. I want the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department to have that same consistent, predictable, capable, competent representation. I know my law firm can provide it. I want them as a client as well.
I love it. Andrew Bailey, thanks for jumping on here with me this afternoon. I hope all is well, and let's get a win on Saturday at Missouri Arena.
Thank you, my friend. MIZ.
ZOU. Take care. That's Andrew Bailey. Yeah, the game last night was a little rough, unfortunately. And you know what's funny? I was very confused by this, and I think I had other people. Sue, this was a game that I was told was available only on ESPN+. I subscribe to ESPN+. They have, like a bundle that they do with Disney and Hulu. So There's content on ESPN that I access all the time that if you go to like ESPN.com, it'll say ESPN+ only, right? But last night I go to ESPN+ on my Apple TV Plus or Apple TV rather, and I couldn't get it to play. And it said something like it was on SEC Plus. So every time I tried to log in, it wasn't working. I had some other friends that said the same thing. So I guess the point of that, long story short, I didn't get to see the crappy game that Mizzou played last night. And when I saw the score, I kind of gave up on, persisting to try to. It was frustrating though because, with a program that's ranked in the top 20, top 15 in the nation, I thought it was unusual that the game wasn't a little bit more accessible. But I think that these things are decided sometimes before rankings, if you know what I mean. Hey, when I left the air yesterday, I have to get to this because this was amazing. I often leave and I turn Laura on for the first few minutes, mainly because 98% of the time Eric Schmidt's a guest, and he's a friend, and I want to hear what Eric says because he's very shy about being in the media. But I love, the first segment of Laura's show, and she's hammering home some of the same themes that I have for the last 3 hours, but she also gives me some ideas on something else. And I'm still so disappointed that we lost Tom Homan. He's a gift to the country, but Tom was on this show on a regular basis for, I'd say 6 years. And he was a great resource talking about the border. Chris Clem's another guy. You haven't heard Chris Clem for a while because he's in the administration as well. He doesn't have as high-profile position as Tom, but he's working behind the scenes to, make sure that these things are moving forward. So As you might remember, this all came up with the border, and the Democrats keep complaining about a lot of this. So Laura's asking Tom Homan about some of this, and this goes to the hearing that took place yesterday with the mayors. Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Boston. Here's what the mayor of Boston said.
Let's talk about Tom Homan. Shame on him for lying about my city, for having the nerve to insult our police commissioner who has overseen the safest Boston's been in anyone's lifetime.
So that's Michelle Wu is her name. She's the same mayor that took some time out of her busy schedule a few days ago when there were some cops that were almost stabbed to death, and she offered empathy, not for the police officers, but for the actual criminal, and that's what they do in these big cities. So that's sort of the framework, and you had the mayor of Denver, Brandon Johnson, up there. So when I heard that yesterday from that mayor, I thought, wow, I cannot wait to hear Tom Homan's reaction to all this.
Look, I was on an airplane today. I didn't see that hearing, but thank you for playing that, because now I'm going to sleep like a baby. Because if I can get to live in her mind rent-free every day, that's kind of cool. I love my job. I work for the greatest president in my lifetime. We're making America safe again. President Trump promised American people we're going to shut down illegal alien crime in this country. That's exactly what we're doing. Mayor Wu should be standing side by side with me. Who does not want to bring hell to an illegal alien that raped a child? Not one, many of them. I stopped counting at 9.
So this is one of the big fallacies in the legacy media right now. There's this notion that ICE, Tom Homan, and all these black helicopters, I guess, are swooping into St. Louis, Chicago, Boston, Denver, and they're rounding up thousands of migrants. Maybe I wish that was happening, but that's not happening. They're doing exactly what they thought they were doing. And by the way, when I say that, I'm talking about illegal migrants, not legal, illegal migrants. Right. But what they're doing right now is doing exactly what they said they were going to do. They're going after the criminals. And Homan, I think you'll hear him in a second say, look, is there collateral? Sure there is sometimes. But let's not act like we're not going to, about this in a way that gets the worst of society off of our and out of our country.
As far as the mayor of Chicago, about we're not making this community safer, I went up there, did a one-day operation. We took 7 TDA members off the street. We took 2 illegal aliens that were convicted of murder that they released, took them off the street. We arrested 6 child predators, took them off the streets of Chicago. ICE is making every one of those cities safer because they're releasing public safety threats back into the public. That in itself is just stupid policy, and we're going to keep going. Look, they can hate me all they want. We're coming. I said I'm going to bring hell. I meant it. I'm going to stand by it, and I'm going to do it. We're going to take child predators off the streets of these cities where they don't want to do it.
So let's just talk about Chicago for just a moment, because Chicago is one of the most violent places on the planet, and it has been terrible since Lori Lightfoot took office. I think a lot of us had hope because she was a former prosecutor. It got worse.
Yep.
They booted her out of office. Brandon Johnson comes in. It's worse because he's another one of these BLM guys and he wants to play social worker. It's ridiculous.
City is also safer because of our Welcoming City Ordinance. That law makes sure that the city's police resources are focused on our local priorities. Chicago's Welcoming City Ordinance and our other laws and policies do not lead to more crime.
So pay attention to the language, okay? It's no longer sanctuary cities. It's welcoming cities. And Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, is trying to make the case that his city is all kinds of safe. We've got no problems, right? We're dealing with all this. But you guys coming in here with ICE, that's making it more dangerous for our residents in the city of Chicago. Guess what? I've got audio from dozens and dozens of African Americans who live in your city who were screaming at the top of their lungs last summer and beyond about the migrants taking over their parks, taking over their resources. Brandon Johnson, your people are not on your side.
Look, he's ignorant. And these mayors just don't get it. President Trump made a promise we're going to prioritize public safety threats and national security threats. That's exactly what we're doing. We're at about 30,000 arrests. Most of them are public safety threats. There are some collaterals, and why is that? Because people like him and the mayor of Boston and the mayor of Denver, they don't let us arrest a bad guy in the safety and security of county jail where the officer's safe, the alien's safe, the community's safe. They release them in the community.
Yeah, see, that's outrageous, and that was addressed with the mayor of Denver yesterday, and it's so easy. If you cooperate with ICE, well, maybe this would be a lot smoother. But it is interesting because, and I'll play a little Maxine Waters audio here as well. Think about Brandon Johnson somehow making the case that it's a more dangerous place to be when you have gun violence that's out of control. It's more dangerous because you're trying to crack down on migrants. Now, we had a situation like this out in St. Charles County. You might remember this was right after Trump took office. There was, some of this was in the local paper, but there was a raid. Well, it wasn't a raid. Let me take this back because that's how it was billed. People were accusing ICE of doing a raid at the El Maguey. I think it's the one that's right off I-70.
Oh, that's right. The
What
restaurant.
happened was that was a drug raid. It wasn't an ICE raid. But what they found was that there were migrants that weren't legal. So then they called ICE in, and I believe that there were, arrests that were made. But that wasn't something that was the primary enforcement mechanism, if you will.
We got to go to the community and find him. And when we find that bad guy, if he's with other illegal aliens that aren't a criminal threat, but they're in the country illegally, they're going to.
Exactly.
So what they're doing is getting exactly what they don't want. More agents in the communities, more collateral arrests because they force in this position. I'll say it again. They're not going to stop us. We're going to do this job. And if they cross the line, they'll be held accountable. We got Pam Bondi now as Attorney General. She's going to take a strong stance. She's already suing these sanctuary cities. We're going to do this job for the American people. We're not going to apologize for doing it.
All right. Good for you, Tom Homan. So here's Maxine Waters, Congressman Waters. I believe she's 130 years old right now. And this is a Zoom call.
Really did not like the way he used the tragic incidents and the families that were there, who of course appreciated, what they think is their president caring about what happened, to the 12-year-old and to others who were victims. And we all feel sad and bad for them, but he misused them. He misused them. And what he did was he focused on them instead of focusing on the real issues.
So that's Maxine Waters claiming that the president is using these people who have been victims, like Laken Riley's family and others, victims of violent crime by migrants who should not have been. And by the way, it goes beyond just should not have been here in the country, who were in this country and in some cases in custody and then released out of custody, right? That's how bad this has gotten. So she wants to claim that the families, who, by the way, completely support President Trump, who are outraged by the lack of response by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, she's trying to make Trump look like the bad guy here.
I mean, give me a break. Americans are dying. I've met hundreds of angel moms and dads who buried their children. Another congressman talked to Homan, the architect of family separation. Yeah, we separated families because we prosecuted parents and the children can't go to jail with them. That happens to U.S. citizen parents hundreds of times across this country every day.
Exactly.
But they don't talk about the 500,000 children that were trafficked into this country. They can't find 300,000 of them. They're in sex trafficking and forced labor. Not a word about that. That whole Democratic Party remains silent on that. Shame on them.
Look, if your mom and dad are robbing banks or they're killing people or they're embezzling, they're going to be arrested. And the kids are taken away, to Tom's point. That's what's happening with the migrants. The Democrats try to sell this in another direction. It's a bunch of lies.
Follow Mark on Twitter at Mark Reardon KFTK and Instagram at Mark Talk. You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've really got some slow-moving traffic out there tonight. If you are eastbound on 6440, there is a jam that is well before Jefferson. It's more like Compton, all the way to the Poplar Street Bridge and across the bridge. There's a report of an accident past Route 3 causing that delay. Westbound 6440 lining up near Vandevenner, and that's out through McCausland. And then it's a slow go again, some moderate volume at Clarkson, and then Winghaven out through Highway N. Southbound 270, slow pockets, and this is more like Olive, down through an accident just south of 44. We've got a parking lot on 44. There are two accidents westbound, west of 141. They're both on the right side. But we have a jam that goes back past Lindbergh. Just a mess. Southbound 55 is slow now. South of Arsenal, down through about, looks better after Broadway, and then opens up. Jeez. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, let me fill you in on some stuff regarding New Perspective Senior Living in Weldon Spring. How many summers have gone by with your parents, your mom and dad, stuck dealing with yard work, home repairs, stress of upkeep? Well, I want to guide you into a new way to help them spend their time enjoying life, not maintaining a house. My mom and dad do this in Arlington Heights, Illinois. They're in a great senior living facility. This is an awesome senior living facility. It's New Perspective in Weldon Spring, where they'll enjoy chef-prepared meals, social events, beautiful maintenance-free home, all in a brand-new senior living community that opened in August, and it's fantastic. 1- and 2-bedroom apartments that are beautiful, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances. You don't have to worry about mowing the lawn. You don't have to worry about meals or home repairs or anything. They make it easy, and it's a lot of fun. So make it a little different for mom and dad. Call 636-229-1311 or visit the website, N as in Nancy, P as in Paul, npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour. New Perspective Senior Living. They're in Weldon Spring, where mom and dad can live on purpose, not on a to-do list.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid with no cost to you, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis, and they get paid instantly. This is 100% free to you. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid instantly. Freedom Care has over 7,000 five-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want great care from a loved one that's free to you through Medicaid, go to freedomcare.com or call 314-597-1749, 314-597-1749, 314-597-1749.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast talk and disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars Lose the Weight and Stop Smoking. Early bird specials $49.99. Seminar Sunday, March 16th, Aviator Hotel and Suites, South I-55, St. Louis. Weight loss 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Or Monday, March 17th, 4 Point Sheraton, St. Louis. Fairview Heights, Fairview Heights. Weight loss 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Friday, will Governor Kehoe sign a bill returning St. Louis police control to the state? We'll ask him at 7:08.
The Mark Cox Morning Show, weekdays from 5 to 9, right here on 97.1 FM Talk. A little controversy for your afternoon. The Mark Reardon Show.
We're very excited. Fish Fry Fridays kick off tomorrow. We will be out there live at Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church, 1910 Serbian Drive. A couple of things that I want to point out. This is an opportunity to come out and see the show in person. We're going to do the roundtable with Jane Duker, State Rep Steve Butts, former State Rep Gene Evans, who actually is going to be a guest next hour. They'll be there, Sue, Fred. Ethan's going to be stuck here in the studio. We're going to get him out to one of these. But come out and say hi. Enjoy some of the great food that they have at Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church. We'll do all the fun stuff in the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to try to get Cusimano to come up to one of these. I don't think he can make it tomorrow. And I was going to say something else about this tomorrow, but I can't. Oh, I'm bearing the lead. A young lady by the name of Alexa Reardon will be turning 10 years old on Saturday, and she wanted to come by the fish fry. Mainly because I think she thinks that about 150 people will sing happy birthday to her, and I think that we're going to probably try to execute that, right?
Oh, that's funny.
So
okay.
She is very excited about her birthday this weekend, Sue. I will have you know. Brian Kilmeade joined us a little bit earlier on the program, and he's coming back. And that show is coming up fast. It's 2 weeks from this Saturday, BrianKilmeade.com, where you can buy some VIP experiences. And the regular tickets, I think availability is limited, but this is a great time. And if you want to do the VIP, you can meet and greet, say hi to Brian, and he takes some time with everyone who's a part of that. So keep that in mind. And that's sponsored by Bob and Tammy Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. And it's going to be a fun event. 2 weeks from Saturday. You know, I always try to cull down some of the best audio of the day, Sue, for Audio Cut of the Day. And I'm just going to leak this one early as a strong contender. If you were, ask yourself, put yourself in this position. I'm asking the audience to do this as well. If you were, and maybe there's some people out there hard on the left, right? You don't like Trump. You don't like anything about what he's doing right now. You want to protest. You're going to put your foot down here. You're going to say something to the rest of society about what this damn president is doing in Washington. How would you go about doing that?
I would not do a video where I'm fighting. I would not hold up signs during him speaking.
That was one reference. We have a viral video of members of Congress, all that. Would you go on Instagram and say something like this?
Effective form of protest you have right now that you can start immediately? Put a mask back on. Stop letting them observe your face. And have the side benefit of better health and protecting the rest of us in the world. Put a mask back on.
Ain't that great? Oh, God. I'm begging those of you in Webster Groves and Kirkwood. I went to the Alpine Shop in Kirkwood today. I'm surprised I didn't see some people masked up because typically in that part of St. Louis we would. I'm begging the liberals to put their mask back on as a form of protest because if you thought they looked stupid up until this point, this is going to be an easy way for us to identify them moving forward. And you can kind of only guess what that woman looked like. She might be better off with a mask as well. Uh-oh, misogynistic. I'm sorry.
If you missed anything, podcast The Mark Reardon Show at 971talk.com. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Boy, we really have some slow-moving traffic tonight. There are two accidents westbound 44 past 141, and both are blocking the right-hand side. This has left us with a parking lot jam back through Big Bend, and it's starting to merge with some volume in the Webster area. It's just a mess. So this has created a jam on southbound 141. It's just south of Manchester all the way down through 44. Westbound Manchester jams at 141. Southbound 270 slow now. It's mainly heaviest from Olive down to an accident south of 44. 55 southbound slowing as you head on down toward Bates. Eastbound 44 is jammed before you even get to Jefferson to the Poplar Street Bridge. Eastbound 6440 lines up, and this one it looks like Compton now to the Poplar. Westbound slowing approaching the Vandevenner area, and 70 westbound is a little bit slow at Jennings Station Road. We've got road work causing a bit of a delay westbound 270 on the Chain of Rocks Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. It is 4:56 at 97.1 FM Talk.
Sponsored by Robert Half.
9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Our recruiting professionals utilize an award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
You know, the area of family law covers so many different things. It's not just divorce, the end of a marriage. It can be alimony and spousal support, anything related to divorce in business. High asset divorces are something that Susan O'Ward can handle. Division of property. Then you have related to children, child custody, child support, grandparent visitation, paternity disputes, relocation of your children. I was in a unique position a couple of decades ago, and my kids moved back here to St. Louis. I always knew I was going to come back here, but that was something when I did move back that I had to redo the parenting plan. So things like that, post-divorce issues, modifications always come up. Susan L. Ward and her team here in St. Louis, they can handle any of those things. They have a tough staff. They have a ton of experience to help you. They have a great website where you can get started. Just go to stlfamilylaw.com and find out more. You can always call the office at 314-783-9400. You go online. You can do it in a confidential fashion. The team will get right back to you. STLFamilyLaw.com, the focus on family law and the emphasis on you.
It's Power Torque Tools DIY days at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Save $20 on a Power Torque 248-piece mechanics tool set. Power Torque professional hand tools have a lifetime guarantee. Available only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
COVID-19 changed a lot of things, including how much Missouri spends on education. Missouri school districts received almost $3 billion in extra federal money in the last 3 years. But now that pandemic federal assistance is ending. So will the state go back to pre-pandemic spending? Apparently not. The president of the Missouri State Board of Education has said we'll need the mother of all supplemental budgets to cover the drop in revenue. Does that mean taxpayers will have to make up the difference? Experts warned not to consider the federal pandemic money as permanent. So shouldn't education officials have been ready? Why not just go back to pre-pandemic spending? Student enrollment in Missouri has been dropping and will continue to drop. Missourians need a new mindset about public education spending, from more to targeted, effective, and student-based. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
The mild weather may have you thinking about spring. Be sure and take advantage of your 10% winter discount right now on all tree care you schedule with Hanson's Tree Service through March. Mark Cox here. You can call in now, get your estimate, secure your spot for your discount before time runs out. They'll talk to you about winter health care. It's a great time to get their arborists out to your house to prescribe the best treatment options. Go online, check it out at hansonstree.com.
There were some rumors that Trump was going to issue an EO to kill the Department of Education. That did not happen today, but we're going to talk some education issues with Gene Evans, who's also on the roundtable tomorrow. Michele Tafoya comes up right after Fox News, and that's coming up next on 97.1 FM Talk.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Hitting the pause button. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump says Canada and Mexico will get a 1-month reprieve from 25% tariffs imposed earlier this week, but there will be no exemptions starting next month.
The predominant tariffs will go. They'll be reciprocal in nature. They'll be going on April the 2nd, so we'll be talking about that. It will be a big game changer for our country because we've been ripped off by every country in the world.
The president claims the tariffs will bring manufacturing back to the U.S. Another sell-off on Wall Street as the market is rattled by the tariffs and the uncertainty of the economy. The Dow lost 427, the Nasdaq 483, and the S&P minus 104. The president reacting to the steep decline.
I think it's globalists that see how rich our country is going to be, and they don't like it.
And he said it's a big market out there. A State Department inquiry continues into USAID, and how serious it may get is uncertain.
New State Department spokeswoman Tammy Bruce said the fallout from USAID started with a refusal to let ledgers be examined to investigate trillions in debt. Bruce called it
an unsustainable way of running anything, a household or a government.
Bruce said while life-saving work across the world will continue to be funded in many cases, it's uncertain if what was found with USAID will rise to a Justice Department matter.
We've clearly got some problems, and so we're determined to correct those problems. Where it ends up is going to be, of course, something we'll see in the future.
Acting USAID Chief Peter Morocco has told Congress charges may be forthcoming.
Fox's Gernal Scott, an adult who was infected with measles, has died in New Mexico, but state health officials say it's not yet confirmed that the virus caused the person's death. The person was not vaccinated against the virus and did not seek medical care. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
More and more clouds take over as our temperatures drop through the 40s this evening. 38 for the low, maybe a sprinkle towards morning. Friday, a spotty early morning shower, otherwise clearing skies. The sun returns. And boy, what a warm-up. 68 and windy Friday afternoon. Friday night, a couple of rain showers, maybe even a couple of sloppy wet snowflakes. It's a windy 36. Saturday, sunny and cool 53. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Michele Tafoya is coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We have an audio cut of the day later in the hour. Of course, we start at Fish Fries tomorrow and a Reardon Roundtable in the 3 o'clock hour. We will be at Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church tomorrow starting at 3 o'clock. All right, guys, I want you to do me a favor. This would be something to put on your to-do list for this weekend. If you have low energy, fatigue, maybe decreased libido, poor sleep, mood swings, all of these things, Game Day Men's Health can help you with a variety of issues, and they do it in a very comfortable, relaxed environment. I went to the location in Chesterfield. They also have a spot in O'Fallon, Missouri, and in Glen Carbon, Illinois. And this is very simple. It's an all-inclusive price. You go in, they're going to offer you a free PSA and testosterone test. The results will come back right away, and then they'll go to work on a plan for you because it's not a one-size-fits-all. Even on the ED treatments, they have some that are very unique. I was unfamiliar with them. They address the root causes, provide long-term solutions. The Game Day environment, though, is awesome. It's comfortable, it's private, it's relaxed. There's a man cave feeling about it. Sports on the big screens. Matt out in Chesterfield, his staff is amazing. Professional care. They're going to treat you like a king. You're going to feel the difference. It's a free consultation, a free testosterone and PSA test, world-class lab that gets you the test results right away, and then you get a plan of attack. So give them a try. Go into one of the 3 locations. Again, I went to Chesterfield, right at Highway 40 in Clarkson. They're in O'Fallon, Missouri, and in Glen Carbon, Illinois. Get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health, GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Could you make $500,000 in retirement savings feel like $1 million? Or $1 million feel like $2 million? The key is having a comprehensive financial plan for taxes, Social Security, inflation, healthcare, income, and more. Discover how you could make money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class, Retirement Planning 101. Guys, it's Dave Glover from KMOX. This one-night class is taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects with decades of financial planning experience. They're held at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. There's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. If you've saved $300,000 or more for retirement, register by calling 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110. If, like me, you haven't quite had the pedal to the metal the way you should, or if you've had the pedal to the metal the entire time, either way, give us a call. We can help you out. We'll take you wherever you are. 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110 for Financial and Tax Architect. If you're trying to sell a home, there's only one agent in town that I trust, Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
The Mark Reardon Show Fish Fries are about to begin. Join me and the crew at Holy Trinity Fish Fest in St. Louis. Details at 971talk.com/events. It's Fish Fry Fridays on the Mark Reardon Show during Lent. Hope to see you for this first one on Friday.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. Saying what you're thinking. Mark Reardon.
You know, on any given day with any given show, I have a lot of material that I don't get to. And, man, I tell you what, I almost buried something really, really big today. Sue, have you heard Gavin Newsom do a complete flippy-floppy here on the trans sports issue?
What?
Okay, apparently this is real.
Like, you right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports, that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out and say no.
No, and I appreciate.
But like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that.
What?
So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that.
Wait.
I'm sorry,
what? Okay, this is with Charlie Kirk. That's the same guy, Gavin Newsom, we've heard for all these years?
And so the issue of fairness is completely legit. And I saw that the last couple of years. Boy, did I saw how you guys were able to weaponize that issue at another level.
Not weaponize. That's
well, weaponize may be pejorative. You're right. But you were able to
shine a light on?
Highlight it.
No, he's not running for president or anything like that. Michele Tafoya is back with us this afternoon, the host of the Michele Tafoya podcast. That was rather fascinating, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I also noted he was very non-committal, and because Charlie Kirk asked him, "Would you do that? Would you step out and say?" And all he did was say, "I agree with you that it's unfair. I agree with you that it's unfair." But he did not commit to doing anything about it. So that was a really easy answer to give. But you're right. He's running for president. He understands this is an 80-20, at least 80-20 issue. And so he's taking the easy side of this issue, which it's amazing that more Democrats won't do that.
It really is. And, you know, look, he's slick and he is a wily politician. So it does not, it does. Yeah, exactly. It's that pukey emoji.
Makes me kind of nauseous.
It's like the emoji we have on our iPhones with the green puke coming out, right? That's kind of how I feel about Gavin Newsom, although he does have nice hair. But let's talk about this issue relating to, the executive order and what happened at the speech the other night, because all these Democrats who in the Senate, not one of them, not even John Fetterman, Michelle, voted to protect women in sports. Here's Riley Gaines.
To see the theatrics, the performative, that's what it is. It's performance that we saw from them. Wearing all the pink to symbolize standing with women. Again, this party, the Democratic Party, could not be further from being pro-woman. They are anti-woman and they are anti-reality.
Now, I would expect, Michelle, that there are, members of the Senate, maybe even from your state, Minnesota, that are a little bit more progressive that would never, dare to cross over like Gavin Newsom just did. But there are other members that aren't seemingly crazy, but not one of them stood up to do the right thing the other day.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Minnesota, too. I mean, both our senators are women, Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith, and neither one of them voted for this. And also, the same day, there was a resolution in the Minnesota state legislature that they could not get a single Democrat, and they only need one to pass this thing. They couldn't get a single Democrat in the House of Minnesota to vote to protect girls and women's sport. I mean, it's about safety and it's about fairness, period, the end. There's a reason we have two divisions. We've talked about this ad nauseum. People know. But I think that was both of those votes, the one here in Minnesota and the one in the United States Senate, happened the night before Trump was going to speak. They did not want to hand him a victory. I'm convinced of that. And so there was massive coordination among Democrats, and Democrats stick together, which also tells you something, right? It tells you that they're more concerned about their party than they are about their own constituents. Because if they really listened to their own constituents in the cities and states they represent, they'd vote the way those constituents want them to. But they didn't. This was about politics and party.
Yeah, and to your point, the same thing is true on the border right now. I mean, these mayors go up there yesterday. I just played some awesome audio from Tom Homan, who was on with Laura Ingraham last night. But they go up there and they're trying to make the case that deporting violent migrants is making their cities, like Brandon Johnson says, that's making my welcoming city. That's the other thing, the language, Michelle. You've noticed the difference, right? It's not sanctuary, it's welcoming city. That's making my welcoming city more dangerous. Are you kidding me? Have you read the news in your city and what happens on a weekend basis and a weekly basis?
One of the unfortunate things about big cities, especially like Chicago, here in Minneapolis as well, I would say Los Angeles, although they're starting to open their eyes in L.A., is that the real stakeholders are the people who work in those big cities that have businesses there and, travel in to work. But generally, that massive number of people that travels into the city to work, to vacation, to eat dinner, whatever they're doing, they live outside of the voting area. So the voters within that actually live in the city proper are fewer in number, and for some reason they are continuing to accept these horrible candidates. I mean, absolutely horrible. Brandon Johnson was a terrible candidate. They had a better alternative. They wouldn't go that direction. I don't know what it's going to take to break those voting habits. But you're right. There's the language aspect. Oh, we're a welcoming city, not a sanctuary city. And it's making us less safe, and people are scared. Well, you know what? I can tell you about a bunch of people who are scared or who were scared as they were on the brink of losing their lives to some of these illegals.
Let me offer you from St. Louis a little hope, and I believe that this should be a national story, and maybe eventually it will be. But, we had a situation with this prosecutor that became very well-known, Kim Gardner, who was not doing her job. 60 Minutes came in here, gives a big, wet, sloppy kiss to her, acts like St. Louis is just racist for having any kind of criticism of someone who really was not legitimately prosecuting criminals, and it was unbelievable. So we get rid of her. We have an African-American mayor, Michele Tafoya, first-term mayor. She comes in, 4 years ago. She just finished a distant second in an election primary, and she did make it to the runoff. So in 3 weeks and 4 weeks, I guess it'd be 3 weeks from this Tuesday, she's going to square off with a member of the Board of Aldermen that is not exactly a conservative, as you might imagine. But this one-term BLM supporting, nonsense mayor who's not paid any attention to city services like trash and snow removal, she's going to get booted out here in St. Louis, and the voters are going to make a change, Michele Tafoya. So that's encouraging.
That is encouraging. I hope it continues. It's hard to imagine how any American can look at the lack of true concern and care for actual issues that these Democrats have and continue to vote for them. I mean, we saw it with that speech the other night before the joint session. It was unserious from the side of Democrats. Trump said it perfectly. I cannot say or do anything that's going to make the Democrats happy. And so rather than look for ways to, make progress, and I don't mean in the progressive sense, but solve problems and come up with solutions and actually create things, all they do is this resistance, these theatrics. They look silly. They look foolish. And as far as I'm concerned, keep it going, because I'd like to see more Republicans win office. The people that are actually willing to take on the tough problems and find the solutions that aren't always easy, but they've got to be made.
So what would you say right now? Michele Tafoya is back with us, the host of the Michele Tafoya podcast, with DOJ overall. We've got situations, and one of the things I think some people might be bracing for, and I just predict this comfortably, there are going to be some people that are going to realize that maybe they have a family member, a friend, or maybe even a situation here in St. Louis that they may be affected. And there's federal workers that might be sacrificed that shouldn't be, and maybe those corrections will be made. But there doesn't seem to be any attempt on the other side, once again, to look at the benefits of, pulling back on some of this spending, the benefits of, addressing fraud, waste, and abuse and things like that. It's amazing to me that they're carrying with that narrative. Fetterman's been the outlier there, saying, who would be opposed to this stuff? But they seemingly just want to go against Elon Musk and call him President Musk. They don't care about the spending, Michele.
No, they don't really. Honestly, if they did, they'd be looking for ways to contribute, like I said, but they don't. And so they're vilifying this guy. Look, Trump is going to be a one-term president here, or, at the end of this term, he's done. And so they can't really attack him. He's a man on a mission. He doesn't have to worry about getting reelected. So they're attacking Elon. That's the first part. The second part is, when did it become that a federal job was untouchable? So somehow federal workers are so special and so important that no matter how many of them we keep hiring, we can't fire them. It's like teachers. Even if they're a terrible teacher, if they have tenure, they keep getting paid. This is silly. We're seeing ABC News lay people off. We saw Meta cut 4,000 workers. This isn't what people like to look at this as, this is evil. This is horrible. People are losing their jobs. Yeah, well, you know what? If they're not doing a good job, or their job is, it's duplicated somewhere else and we can get by with fewer, we'd be it would be malfeasance not to get rid of those jobs. Like, it's your money, people. Look at your pay stub. If you got billed for all of these workers. If we enumerated for you on a piece of paper everything you're paying for, where your taxes are going, and then said, hey, thanks, can you pay this bill now? Because we think it's important to have, trans musicals in Peru or whatever it is. I'm being facetious, but they're certainly out there. If you had all of that highlighted for you, would you really want to pay your tax bill? Well, and if you find out that there are 5 federal workers for really every one that is necessary, would you want to keep paying for that? Of course you wouldn't.
It's outrageous. And the majority of the country is with them. That's why, yesterday was amazing. I hear all these pundits about, the speech. The speech is too long. Jimmy Kimmel goes on and does blah, blah, blah last night. But then you look at the polling and the people who actually watched the speech, 36 million people, and they're on Trump's side on so many of these issues. Now, let me ask you about, because obviously there's uncomfortability with a lot of people, maybe even on the right, on the Ukraine situation. What I saw last week, I loved. And I didn't love it because I don't want the U.S. to, play some sort of role in forcing Putin in the situation with Ukraine. But again, it's an issue of resources, and we're pouring a lot of money into something that's not working. I don't believe that this war is winnable, Michelle. I don't know that you do. So why would you continue to pour money down something that doesn't have a chance to win?
Yeah, that's the calculation that people need to make. And Biden and Kamala just kept saying, we're with you for as long as it takes. What does that mean, really? 5 years? 10 years? 50 years? Because the rate they were going, they weren't helping enough to totally overcome. They wanted to avoid World War III, obviously, so they didn't want to get involved militarily. So we're just going to keep dumping money to you in a losing effort? No, if you want peace, there's someone there that can broker the peace. Was that an uncomfortable moment in the Oval? Yeah, but I would say it was uncomfortable for 2 reasons. One, you saw the president and Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance getting irritated with this guy. And 2, this guy was acting like he deserved and was entitled to everything America can offer. And so I think I think people were really split. But the more they really looked at it, and the more that they saw that what is trying to happen, it's from the art of war. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So people like to say Trump is cozying up to Putin and giving in to Putin. I would say quite the contrary. I would say he's keeping his enemies closer, and he's trying to get a situation where peace can return. And so if you're not going to win this war, Zelensky, then you need to find a way to peace, and that's going to require some give and take.
Michelle, what is hot on the podcast? I see you have Jay Johnson. He's an actor. I think a lot of people might know his name, not know his name, or maybe even his face. But he's been a big character on Bob's Burgers. I think he was in Mr. Show back in the day as well. Yep, he was. He was in Anchorman, and he hasn't worked in Hollywood since January 6, 2021, because he happened to be at the Capitol. Oh my! And when you hear his story about what he's been through, and every back that's turned on him because he was there. He wasn't wearing horns. He wasn't sitting in the speaker's chair. He was barely inside the building at all, and his life has been ruined. And look, I was agnostic at one point on January 6th. I was like, it was a thing. It happened. I don't know. But I've talked to enough people now. Siaka Massaquoi is another one. He's another actor who happened to be there. And what they've been through for really not doing anything is revealing. And people should listen to their stories, too. We got really one side of the story when that committee put up their little television production. It's important to listen to these other people. I believe that. And look, I was outraged by what happened, what I saw on January 6th, and I remain outraged. But I also know, and Julie Kelly's been really good at highlighting some of this stuff, there were over-prosecutions, and there were people that were treated unfairly. I don't know Jay's story at all, so that's fascinating. And that's the latest episode of the podcast, right? Yeah, that one dropped today. Every Wednesday we have what we call Wild Card Wednesday, and this week was a lot of fun because we took that speech from the joint session and we broke it down and gave you the highlights, reacted to the highlights, and we threw in a bunch of other stuff too. We like to go through tons and tons of clips and then bring it down to a manageable number and show you the highlights from the week, or at least from the now it's no longer about a week. It's about like the last 2 hours because news breaks at breakneck speed. So
The minute you think you have a great clip to show everyone, something bigger and more interesting has happened.
Well,
but
and
we do that every Wednesday. It's a lot of fun.
Nothing against the podcast world, because believe me, I understand that I'm old media, but that is one advantage, to live radio these days, because to your point, things do happen so damn fast. I opened the show today and we got this guy, I'm sure you've seen Will Scharf signing the executive orders. He's a Missouri guy. He ran for attorney general here, so we know Will. And I look up at the screen as, the clock turns to the start of my show, and I just dip into the questions, because you just never know what you're going to get with Trump. So we take the Q&As a lot of times live because they're pretty good.
They are. I mean, that's one thing. This president is pretty entertaining. He's so transparent. He's going to just be straight with you. Even when he gives a non-answer, it's entertaining. But, he doesn't, he is, people who thought at one time, if ever, they think this guy's stupid, they don't get it. He is wily. He is clever. He is smart. He is savvy. And more than anything, he has a spine like no politician I've ever seen.
Well, that's
we
know.
What this country needs.
That we know to be true for sure. Michele Tafoya, always great to have you on. I'm going to check out that latest edition with Jay and the podcast. I did not know the backstory, so that sounds fascinating.
Yeah. I hope you do. Thanks so much for having me.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Michele Tafoya. Check out the Michele Tafoya podcast. We're coming back with Gene Evans. We'll talk about getting rid of the Department of Education. Will that happen?
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Watch out for emergency vehicles westbound 44 on the ramp to Vandevenner. They're saying it was a police emergency. 44 eastbound is lined up, headed for the 55 merge and into downtown. We've got westbound 44, just a parking lot. And this is near Big Bend, all the way out past 141, where there are two separate accidents blocking the right lane. And that, of course, has just created a huge jam on southbound 141, just south of Manchester down through 44. Westbound Manchester is really jammed at 141. And then it's slowing again to the west of there as well at Clarkson. So just know that that's the problem area. Southbound 270 slow, and this is from Olive, and that goes down through Gravois. Southbound 55 slowing south of Arsenal in the construction zone. Eastbound 64 is jammed, headed for the Poplar Street Bridge, and there's volume on the bridge itself. Westbound 70, some moderate volume in pockets as you head out west. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. It's 5:25 at 97.1 FM Talk.
Sue, I want you to do something for me.
I'm ready.
I think you can do it. I want you to look out the window right now.
It's still sunny.
It's sunny. Now I want you to fast forward to 6:25, and it would still be sunny, this sunny.
A little bit.
That's going to be what Monday's like. So that's good news.
When Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com talks to people about health insurance, they tell him, number one, my premiums are too much. Number two, my deductible is so high I never meet it. And number three, my doctor doesn't accept my plan anymore. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA market. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible. And they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance and available all year long, so you can enroll today. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan managed and chosen by you, not the government.
You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
If you've tried and failed every ED treatment, there's another fix that could work for you. It's same-day surgery, it's minimally invasive, and is performed by South County urological physicians. Hundreds of men have come to us for this outpatient procedure that has a satisfaction rate of 90%. Interested? Call the dedicated ED phone line at South County Urological, 314-843-8000, extension 33. That's 314-843-8000, extension 33.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show at 5:29, sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Brian Kilmeade here, and I'll be there on Saturday, March 22nd. Jot that down, at the factory in Chesterfield, in this engaging motivational journey through America's past. Tickets available at 971talk.com/events.
Sponsored by Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group. You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Yeah, we had Brian on a little earlier in the 3 o'clock hour. You can always use the Odyssey Rewind app to check out that conversation. We are 2 weeks away from his show at the factory. Some tickets still available, some VIP experiences still available at briankilmeade.com. So there were some rumors that were going around that the Department of Education was going to be killed today by an executive order. That did not happen. But here's Linda McMahon, who is the new education she's the they don't call her the czar. What the hell do they call her? Whatever they call her, here she is.
But since then we had COVID, and Americans' eyes were open to just what an abject failure this federal agency has been at its mission. Shy of Congress actually dismantling and shutting down the department, one of the most important ways to get power back to a more local level is to simply take the funds appropriated by Congress and block grant them back to the states.
Secretary of Education. That's what everyone was yelling at the radio. Mark, you idiot! It's Secretary of Education. Yes. I, for whatever reason, was having trouble landing on that. Gene Evans is with us, political consultant for Go Consulting, former executive director of the Missouri GOP, former state rep, and the head of the Missouri Federation for Children. She's going to be with us tomorrow on the Reardon Roundtable at our fish fry. Hi, Gene. How are you?
I'm great, and I am so excited that Linda McMahon is the new Secretary of Education because I think she has got the right ideas about moving the money back into the hands of families and states when it comes to educating children.
Do you think that this is logistically realistic? It looks like something that might be tried. I've been around, scenarios where people have mentioned this for a long time. And then, of course, when you say you want to get rid of the Department of Education, people who don't really understand the complexity of the issue would say, whoa, that sounds terrible. Why would you want to hurt education, right? But there's a good reason, because the resources are being wasted.
Right. So this department came about when we were still in school, Mark, and I would argue that no child education has improved. The outcomes have not gotten better. Billions of dollars have gone into this bureaucracy, and what President Trump and Linda McMahon are saying, let's put that money back closer to the source. Let's put it back to parents. There's actually something called the Educational Choice for Children Act that's moving through Congress now, which is a universal school choice program that any American can take advantage of, and then block granting money back to the states. And if you talk to superintendents, they'll tell you the federal money has so many strings attached that it's almost not worth it. There's not that much of a benefit to what they do. It's a lot of bureaucracy with really no good results. Now, I think it was created with good intentions, but it hasn't worked. And some of the programs that come out of there, people say, well, what's going to happen to this? Like the IDEA Act and some of the other things that have to do with kids with special needs. Those will just be moved back to where they were before this department was created. And so it's not going to impact parents in a negative way with some of those programs, but it will impact in a positive way for parents who would like to see better outcomes for their kids.
So to your point, Gene, it was October of 1979 when it was right around the time I was moving here to St. Louis. We moved here in November of 1979 from Chicago, but that's when the Department of Education was established. And the rumors started circulating because this is an executive order that's been in the works for a while here. The Wall Street Journal and others did some reporting on this last night, and apparently the draft says the experiment of controlling American education through federal programs and dollars and the unaccountable bureaucrats those programs and dollars support has failed our children children, our teachers, and our families. The draft viewed by the Journal was labeled as pre-decisional, suggesting it could change. So I don't know if you know what happened today, if they're just kind of putting some finishing touches. Obviously, the court challenges will be there right away. But are you hopeful that something like this actually could happen? If we're talking in a year, is the Department of Education being dismantled?
Well, regardless of whether it still exists or not, it's going to be downsized if it still exists. And they're moving in the right direction. I've read that it takes an extra actually get rid of the department.
Yeah, they would have to, and they would have to have a filibuster-proof 60-vote majority there, and I don't
They don't
know if
have,
they're gonna get
right.
that, right.
But that doesn't mean that they can't downsize and, make these programs more accessible to families and get rid of some of the bloat. You may remember, these talking heads at the Department of Education were the ones who were, shutting down the schools and saying kids playing football had to wear masks and all kinds of other crazy stuff. So they have not done any. Look at all the COVID money they spent.
Oh my gosh.
We have seen no results from that. And if you put that back, just think about the city of St. Louis, Mark. I've lived here my whole life. City schools have not gotten better. If anything, they've gotten worse. Wouldn't it be great if these parents had an opportunity to get a scholarship to go to a school that they better fit their kid, whether it was a private school or a different district, because you could use that money for any of those things. And we're seeing this growth of homeschooling, and it's because people are fed up with the schools. They think they can do a better job than the schools can. So their tax dollars that are going to pay for schools are not actually, their kids aren't getting educated there. They're doing it at home.
This is one of those situations. Look, I love the way that the Wall Street Journal, who report on this, they closed the article this way. With around 4,500 employees as of last year, the department is the smallest cabinet-level agency, which is interesting. And then they say, polls show most Americans are skeptical of eliminating the department, and Democrats have rallied in opposition to the idea. Well, of course they're skeptical, because when you hear, it's just sort of like what's happening with DEI. If you're a simple person and you don't have an understanding of the evil that DEI really is, then you're going to say, oh, that sounds bad because we're just trying to make things more inclusive and diverse, etc. Same thing with this. People don't really think through it. They hear, oh, Trump wants to kill and Republicans want to kill the Department of Education. That's going to harm our kids, when the opposite is true. So really, this is about educating the voters as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it sounds terrible. And most people aren't paying that close of attention to this, but people weren't paying that much attention to education actually until COVID. And then they started to wake up and see what was happening. And, it's been especially impactful in poorer areas. They've fallen behind. Those schools and those school districts, those students are falling even farther behind than they were. That's just a catastrophe. If you've got kids, we've seen in the news recently where kids are graduating from high school that can't read.
Gene, let me stop you there, because I have highlighted a couple of stories. I even saw another one last week that was being reported on a TV station, maybe it was Boston or something like that, where there's lawsuits because these kids have gotten to the point where they graduate and they literally can't read, which is stunning.
It is stunning, and it's ridiculous, and something has to be done. So I think they're moving in the right direction, whether it means the department is gone or it's just completely revamped to something that works better for families and more kids learn to read and write and do math. I just think they're moving in the right direction. And if they could pass this national school choice just think what that would mean for so many families who they're sending their kids to school and they're not learning to read. They're not learning how to do math. They're being indoctrinated with values that don't match the families. This would be a game changer for so many families and a way out of poverty for poor families if they had a chance to go to a school where their kids could actually learn.
So listen to the details, and I know that you know some of these stories, but I just saw this one the other day, and it's from Hartford, Connecticut. So there's a student there that's suing the Hartford Board of Education, and there's other cases like this, and the city of Hartford for negligence. This woman is Alicia Ortiz. She's 19 years old. She graduated from school with honors, high school. She earned a scholarship, but she cannot read or write. She's actually going to UConn in Hartford, and she's a freshman. And she says that what happened is she was going along, and she did the same thing happened. Sue, remember I talked about this other story. She was having AI do some of the essays and the speeches and stuff like that. She says that she graduated last year, but she's illiterate and still does not know how to read or write. How can you be a freshman at a major university and not know how to read or write? And this is apparently not isolated.
No, well, if you talk to universities, they will tell you that the students coming in are so poorly educated and they're having to take all these remedial classes, which guess what? Adds up to the amount of money you got to pay, adds up to more student loans. It's just an endless cycle of kids just trying to get back to, where level, and it's costing them money and time, and they can't read or write. You cannot function in the society if you cannot read. You can't. I mean, how do you even get a driver's license, right? Like, it's ridiculous. But I do think, I mean, it's going to take a while, Mark. There's no easy fix. They don't dismantle the department and all of a sudden everybody knows how to read. But, we're moving in the right direction, and they're moving so quickly, but we have to. There are so many kids and families who are just waiting for an opportunity to get out of the cycle of poverty that they're in. And it starts with an education.
Well, I'm totally supportive. I hope because look, I've said this for the last couple of years. These stories that come out, maybe I'm more sensitive to it, Gene, because I have a little girl who's going to turn 10 tomorrow. She turns 10 years old. On Saturday. She'll be at our fish fry. But because of that, I do pay attention to what's happening in school. And every time I see these stories about how these kids are behind, and by the way, the kids are behind in the good school districts, right?
Right.
They're further behind in St. Louis public schools or Los Angeles Unified Schools. So it's even worse in those situations. And there doesn't seem to be anyone that's moving that in the right direction. In fact, let's use our own school district here in St. Louis, where the superintendent saw it fit to take $17 million in a surplus and turn it into $33 million deficit by traveling all over the country and hiring people for DEI causes. That's how the students in St. Louis were treated.
Well, think about this. If, Governor Kehoe, who got his first big initiative on crime through the Senate last night, his second thing he's been talking about is education and school choice. Think of what a difference that would make for the city of St. Louis. If you could feel safe living there and you had an opportunity to send your kid to any school, people might actually want to live in St. Louis. We might actually see, a more thriving opportunity in St. Louis if the governor continues to have these wins and we, solve the crime problem and let people go to school at a school that serves them, or introduce some competition, because without any competition, the St. Louis public schools are just not going to get better.
Oh, you're right about that. Hey, we'll see you on the roundtable tomorrow at the fish fry, but this will be one of the questions that comes up. How would you say everything's going with the session right now? You mentioned the crime bill. That looks very good. It looks like local control is coming back to St. Louis and the police department.
I think it's going really well. I mean, they're almost passing too many bills. People are like, wow, there's been like a pent-up demand, but people are seeming to get along better, and so there's more, unity, so to speak, and so they're moving forward with the agenda. The other thing, again, when you have a governor who's walking the halls and talking to people you saying what it really does help, Mark. I mean, Kehoe was all over the building this week talking to people, and when your governor comes in and sits down with you and explains why he would like you to support his bill, it's hard to say no, especially to him.
Well, look, I had Andrew Bailey on earlier, and I had a chance to sit down with him in his office a couple of weeks ago, and with no disrespect to Governor Parson, and Governor Parson was the guy that appointed him. He even admitted that this new governor is so engaged on these issues. In fact, the meeting that I had with Andrew and I met with Mike that morning, he was heading over across the street to the Capitol to talk to Governor Kehoe about a variety of these issues. So that's important because there's a lot of teamwork going on right now.
Oh, absolutely. And Andrew Bailey is another one. I mean, that guy's a superstar. He is really he really wants to do the job. It's not just, hey, look at me, I'm Attorney General. He's a guy who's in the weeds doing the hard work. And all these guys are also really well liked and respected by the legislature, and that's important. If you don't like the governor, you're not as likely to go along with some of his ideas. But they're both well liked. We got a great team down there. I'm super excited. It's the best year I've had down there. This is my 9th year. It's the best year so far that I've ever experienced in Jeff City.
Well, let's not get along too well, though. I mean, because that does not serve a talk show host very well. We need some fights about some things as well.
Well, we'll have some tomorrow. Well, I'm saving some juicy stuff for tomorrow.
Good. Well, we'll see you on the roundtable. Thank you, Gene.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Take care. That's Gene Evans. She will be on the panel tomorrow along with State Rep Steve Butts and Jane Duker. We are going to be at Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church tomorrow afternoon starting at 3 o'clock doing the show. Come on out and have some great food. Sue is checking out the menu, and it looks delicious. Yeah, it is interesting to have, and I'll be very curious to see how some of the stuff is managed with our local media moving forward. Because even on the issue of the Department of Education, I wonder if there's going to be an effort on the part of the legacy media to actually take any time in these stories to say, hey, maybe there's something to this. Maybe we should have a discussion about where this money goes to, how the money's spent. But to dismiss it completely out of hand, I think is not,
short-sighted.
especially right now, it is short-sighted because why not take a stab at changing some of these things? And again, in order to dismantle the whole thing, you'd have to have Congress involved, and it doesn't look like that would happen, but maybe you can get a couple of people over. I'm still a little surprised. You know, Joe Manchin did an interview today, and he left the Senate, but he's the guy kind of calling out his party. He was one of the only guys that was doing that when he was in the Senate.
It was so sad. I kept thinking, and I was watching the delivery. I had sat there before in that same situation when the president first came, President Trump came and he was speaking about energy and things about coal and things I know about energy security we need for our country. And I was standing up, and I think people were hissing me behind, and I was the only one standing. I kept thinking, that's awful. They shouldn't be that disrespectful to the president. They were hissing me, not him.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Joe Manchin was always a guy who was along the lines of John Fetterman. He was sane. There were rumors that he was going to flip to being a Republican, but he sent a message to his party now.
They have to understand, the people have spoken. They elect Donald Trump as president. Every red-blooded American should want your president to succeed. If you're in a position of being a House member or a Senate member and you can do something positive, do it. Don't worry about the politics. It'll take care of itself. Make sure our country succeeds, and your leader has to succeed. And when you're going to be against something, do it respectfully. Do it with decorum. Not able to stand up and be able to clap on something with a human touch that had, that young man, a young boy, what he wants to do. That's just unconscionable.
Yeah, he's talking about DJ Daniel, who very well might be featured in our audio cut of the day. But look, Manchin is giving him tough medicine. They're just not listening to it. I mean, they're too crazy on their side. They put this video out today about fighting with AOC, and I swear to God, one of them looks like Wesley Bell, but it's a woman. But he's saying you got to admit some mistakes.
And you can't make wrong right. You can try all you want to. Just say you made a mistake on the border. I was preaching from day one. Are you all crazy? Have you opened up basically with asylum at the border? What's your reasoning for doing this? So we made a mistake. I don't know why they made their determination to do that, the previous administration. And they should be able to live up to that and say, we made it, we'll fix it. President Trump is who he is. He came in and told you what he was going to do.
That's right. Interesting. Some tough medicine for the Democrats from a Democrat that they don't really consider crazy enough anymore, so they won't listen to him. Audio cut of the day coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we've had a kind of a rough commute. If you are a westbound 44 driver, oof. We've got a jam.
Wait. That's what I'll be in like 20 minutes. I don't like to hear, oof. Really?
Maybe
it's
going to get better. I mean, we have, since I got here, a jam from Big Bend all the way out to just past 141. 2 accidents there, one after the other in the right lane. Hopefully they'll get that cleared. But that's created this jam on southbound 141 and westbound Manchester approaching 141. It really is kind of a mess. Now, 6440 is the usual volume. Kings Highway out through McCausland, that's fine. And a little bit just at Timberlake Manor, moderate volume at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. But eastbound is slow at Big Bend, and that's jamming up southbound 170. 44 eastbound jams at the 55 split, southbound 55 slowing south of Arsenal in the construction zone. Accident reported now southbound 270 south of Gravois as well. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, Lakeside Renovation and Design has been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows, and siding to kitchens, bathrooms, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, you know, Sue, that the situation on 44 will be exacerbated for a fair amount of people. I'm mainly thinking of myself because of the Hillsborough Road closing. Yeah. So, now I have to go home in a way. And look, a lot of people have to deal with this, right? So it is what it is. There's a lot of people. I do put things into perspective, so I'm not complaining about this more than I should. Although I'll bitch about it a little bit. It's going to mean probably 7 to 8 minutes more to my commute every time I come out of the neighborhood because I can only go toward Gravois instead of toward 44. And then when you have an accident like this, and a lot of people are, just today is the first day that road closed. Oof. So you have thousands of people that live in my area that are now rerouting and doing things another way. So yeah, and they'll figure it out. We'll all figure it out.
It's only 9 months project.
6.
No.
Don't say 9.
It's 9.
9? Who said 9?
Wasn't it 270 days?
No, 200 days.
Oh, I read 270 somewhere. Let's hope yours is the updated.
I hope it's not 270 days. Now you just made me feel sick to my stomach.
Well, if you
Thomas.
read 200, we'll go with that.
Well, here's the answer. It's too long. Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com. You know, producer emeritus David Klein lives right outside of where the road is closed. And I sent him a text the other day. I said, hey, can I move in for a few months? He said, what'd you do now? I'm like, no, I'm talking about the whole family. Like, I'll bring the dogs over, the bunny, and everything for like 6 months or so. He didn't seem to want to go for that. Hey, if you're a sports fan, I know Dave has been playing Underdog. He's told me that Underdog Fantasy is available to play here in Missouri, and it's hoop season right now. Not a great result for Mizzou last night, but on Underdog with the Champions game, when your favorite stars score buckets or they get assists or if they score goals in the NHL, you can make a little money and fun. So choose whether a player is going to go higher or lower on the stat lines. You can create entries with all NBA, with all NCAA, or you can mix and match. You can do hockey, tennis. They have everything in Underdog, and you can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. A lot of people have won billions making plays on Underdog. You can be the next one. Download the app. Get a username. You're going to have to pick out a password, and then when you deposit money, use this promo code MARKR. They're going to match some of the money. You'll unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. So do this tonight. You can do it on your phone. Download the app. Have some fun. Use the promo code MARKR. Claim your special offer today. Get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon your first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid instantly. It's all through Medicaid, and as a St. Louis resident, it's 100% free to you. New to Medicaid, the Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is free to you through Medicaid, and with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid instantly. So go to freedomcare.com or call 314-697-4912. 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Triton Exteriors. Hopefully you've heard me talk about Triton before, and you know that I'm good friends with their owner, Tim, that I love their commitment to customer service. Tim comes from the restaurant business, and so he is completely focused on your happiness. The answer is yes. What's the question? Also, we're not just your average contractor. We're your neighbor. We're proudly based in Shrewsbury. We deliver stunning exteriors with James Hardie Siding. So why James Hardie? Why is that a big deal? Well, it's the #1 brand for durability, curb appeal, and the best-in-class return on investment. As part of the James Hardie Alliance, we bring expert craftsmanship and a personal touch to every project. Your home deserves the best, and with Triton Exteriors and James Hardie, that's exactly what you're going to get. For roofing, siding, gutters, or fences, call 314-717-1159 or go to triton-stl.com, 314-717-1159 or triton-stl.com.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
It's strange for me because I grew up in a family where we had open discussions about politics. My grandfather was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. We went at it every Sunday in my household, but we all loved each other.
The Mark Cox Morning Show, weekdays from 5 to 9.
You know, no sooner do we take a break and I see this story from Nitu Arnold, who was a guest on my show last week at the Manhattan Institute. And here's the headline. It's a study that they did. Chronic absenteeism is hampering school improvement efforts in New York City. And I've seen a lot of coverage, too, of this in the LA Times as well. There's very little coverage of that here in St. Louis, but you can't tell me that SLPS doesn't have chronic absenteeism, right? And, you know, this is the Manhattan Institute saying there's a strong relationship between student attendance and success at school. Well, yeah, you think so, but this has really gotten bad post-COVID in these urban areas. What the hell are we doing? Why aren't we talking about this?
I don't know.
We should be, because this is a crisis. And you're talking, you want to see more kids that can't contribute to society, that can't read or write, that are going to be just on the government dole, when the government dole might not be as full as it used to be. That is a problem for society, and it's not an easy one to solve, but it needs some attention for sure.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
You know, we have decisions to make on the show, and this little 13-year-old kid who has had brain cancer, had a lot of surgeries, he blew up at the speech the other night, DJ Daniel. Now, there's been a lot of Democrats that haven't said nice things about President Trump. DJ Daniel, who was just made a Secret Service agent, has something to say about that.
Last thing, because we know you got to bounce. What would your one piece of advice for the Secret Service be?
Please stop being mean to President Trump, because if I see you being mean to him, I'm coming after you.
I love that. I think you need to become the director of the Secret Service. DJ, it is such an honor to have met you.
Hold up, I got one more thing to say.
What? He has one more thing to say. I won't interrupt you.
Here we go.
If you're a Democrat and you're being mean to President Trump, I'm on your bumper.
On your bumper is slang, Sue. I had to educate
Well, yes,
myself.
it is.
On your bumper. Do you know what it means?
You told me earlier, but I managed to forget.
On your bumper is a West Coast term described as someone aggressively pursuing someone for either confrontation or death owed. It sounds like DJ Daniel is pretty serious about being on your bumper. Here's another appearance. He's a star.
Yeah, you think your friends are going to be jealous?
Pretty much. And I'm pretty sure my girlfriend going to be jealous. Cause she ain't gonna be. I say you can't. I'm gonna be like you. I'm gonna be like you gonna have to hit the road jacks, because I'm a Secret Service now. I'm not. And if you touch me, you going to juvenile straight out. And I ain't gotta ask your parents for nothing. I'm sending you straight to jail.
You know, DJ, when you get older, you'll learn that women have an interesting way of dealing with those situations. A lesson for another time, young man. It was good talking to you. Thank you.
Yeah, DJ, settle down there just a little bit, especially on the girlfriend talk. You're going to get yourself in trouble. We're going to hope that some of that was said tongue-in-cheek and with a little humor in mind. We're going to wrap up a Thursday show, and we invite you to come out and see us, maybe do a little, heckling of Jane Duker on the roundtable tomorrow at Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church. Jane will be on the panel. These are always fun events for me because, and I'm not even joking about this, people want to come out. They want to meet Jane. They want to meet Sue and Fred. They don't really want to meet me. I don't really want to meet anyone because I'm not very personable. But I'd love for you to meet the supporting cast. We're a little disappointed because Ethan has to be here running things at the station. We're going to get him to one of them, though.
We'll figure that out.
For sure. So tomorrow is Holy Trinity. Next week in Cottleville, Assumption in South County on the 21st. Queen of All Saints, also in South County on the 28th. Mary Magdalene, St. Mary Magdalene in Brentwood on the 4th. And then we close things out in Millsot, Illinois on the 11th of April, which is kind of weird that Easter is. So I think Easter is the following weekend,
look
right?
that up.
Yeah. The 11th, that's my birthday weekend, Sue. We're not going to acknowledge this one if you can remember. But I think Easter is the week after. That's really, really late.
April 20th.
There you go. Have a great night, Sue Thomas.
You too.
Have a great night to all of you. We'll talk tomorrow at 3 during the roundtable at the Fish Fry.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Oh, good news, Mark. They've just cleared that accident, but there were multiple ones.
I'm not going to hurry out of here.
Okay, westbound 44 past 141. Apparently those are cleared, but now I'm seeing another accident reported just past 270. Either way, we've got a jam that goes back through Big Bend, and this has put extra volume westbound on Manchester, at 141, and at Clarkson. Southbound 270, heaviest traffic down at Gravois. Westbound 6440, still a slow go, Kings Highway out through McCausland. An accident reported near Timberlake Manor with slow-moving traffic back to 141. 70 is your best bet out of downtown if you're trying to choose. We are quiet through North County, and we do have some volume eastbound on the Poplar Street Bridge, but it's mainly moderate at this hour. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Setting goals for your retirement is one thing, but knowing how to achieve those goals is another.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams?